What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. This era of the release calendar can be kind of shitty. We don't really have another new movie coming up that we want to review until Christmas Day, which is about 3 weeks away. And Nosferatu coming out, so we're gonna attack some different topics, and one of them is it's a topic that is touchy with a lot of film fans and legacy sequels. Here to talk about that with me tonight are two of my favorite people, with one of them popping in as soon as he gets his shit together, because he's never ready for anything. But Aaron will be here at some point in the next little bit. But joining me to start the day is the usual part of the crew, starting with my head of my Jeremy. What's up, brother?
I'm here. I was told that there was going to be an Aaron and a Cora, and I'm like, I need more alcohol, but I'm ready. I'm already pre-gamed, and
There's never enough.
We're in the first quarter now. I'm still going. So no. He'll, like I said, the joke will be great when he comes in like super late, when the hype is gone. We don't need him. Kind of like some of these sequels. So, I mean, he'll just be the legacy sequel in like a literal form. So it'll be pretty funny.
It will be.
I hope he's at least listening. He's just not here yet, but I hope he's listening. That's what I said.
Oh, he knows we're going to give him shit for popping in late because he knows I hate it. But here to the other half of the horror bros of this channel is the Shape of the Lone Star State. My man Tex, what's up, brother?
So if for obviously y'all will probably remember, and the ones that watch Tuesday, I was told of nudity that I missed in Gladiator 2, right? Jeremy informed me of this. So I went back and did my dutiful homework on Google, as a good student does. I found it.
Okay.
And after seeing it, I have to deduct a whole entire point from this movie because A, it was a background actress. B, not even, we got no nipple. We got boob with no nipple. That's negative points, sir. So you teased a boob in the background and gave me no nipple. That's a full, at least 1 point off of the possible 10.
I said a half point because she didn't. So, it was one titty. She couldn't fully commit.
No nipple, no points, my friend. That's the rules. I didn't make them. I just have to follow them. So you suck, Gladiator 2. So just, I told all of our fans I would follow up. So I was doing my duty.
Like, was I wrong though? There was a titty out, and I was like, wait a minute. I was trying to like watch the movie. This bitch has her tits out. Like,
there kind of was. I can't say there was because we didn't get the whole, job. We kind of got one.
They kept putting away, so I don't know.
Yeah, it was in the background, so it doesn't count. So a full, at least 1 point off of Gladiator 2. So
boob with no nipple is like peanut butter without jelly. Ham with no burger.
Just saying, Just saying.
But yeah, let's get into it. Again, Aaron's going to be joining us here shortly. He was at work, and he will be with us shortly. But let's kind of get down to it. Obviously, we're going to talk about legacy sequels. And again, they're a touchy subject. Sequels that come out a long, long time after the original film comes out. There's a lot of ambiguity as to exactly what makes a legacy sequel. And we've been talking about this the last couple of days off and on. Let me get your guys' thoughts real quick, and feel free to join us in the chat if you have your ideas. What's up, Stuart? First in the chat. Good to see you, my friend down under. Hope you're doing well. But we were talking about it. And Tex, what are some of your requirements for a legacy sequel?
Well, number one, you have to honor the property that it comes from. Don't just use the property don't say like, hey, I'm going to make a Halloween movie, right? But he's going to wear a hockey mask. Like, don't do that. You must honor the source material. They've really gone so hard with the woke stuff in these legacy sequels it's like this, but now it's this version. They crap on them so much with that woke nonsense that it ruins so much of these. But besides that, you need to take what the original property had good and add to it. Don't take it away. Don't do like they were going to do for Halloween 2018 and reshoot a scene to do something different. Honor the past and move forward without shitting on what came before it. But that's just a couple of them.
I don't know. Jay, what do you think? What are some of the things that make a legacy sequel to you? What are some of the parameters?
Well, I think Tex was having the wishful thinking we all have, where I'd like to say that if you're going to do a movie 30, 40 years down the line, I think I would at least like for you to make it make sense and make it feel like it actually belongs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that it makes sense in tandem. If you're going to do something like that,
Right.
I mean, it's already kind of working against itself. Say, something that's live action, because I'm like, well, now if you bring back the same actors, most of the actors are probably older, and you have new actors coming in that again they still have to carry the story. Like we've said, another facet was passing the torch, so to speak. We still have from your actual legacy characters to your new ones. But that's what to me I would, in a perfect world, love to have for legacy sequels. Now I'm going to get into the weeds of one later that I'm sure we're all aware is going to be talked about, that I think that kind of part of this whole this whole kind of disdain for the fact that it happens, and that I've said so many goddamn times. As soon as there's talks of a movie that's like 30 years too late, I'm just like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, I can't get excited, and I don't really care. I don't want to deal with it. Some of these, I mean, I know we have dipshit Tom Cruise fronting fucking goddamn the same because a Gen Xer definitely didn't make this goddamn
last movie star, man. He's a weirdo, but he's the last movie star that we have, so we have to hold on to him.
So I'm like that, and there's ones like that is what I'm saying, that I'm like, people have gone to see that, that I would trust their opinion, that from Top Gun in the 80s that we all know and love, to Top Gun Maverick, that they think it's just the greatest thing that's ever been invented ever in the history of man. Nothing will ever top it. I think you need to calm down with that. But like, okay, is it actually a good movie? Okay, great. I didn't see it because I still have. Well, how do I put this? I still have bad tastes of alien crystal skulls in my mouth. So I'll put it that way, and trust me, we'll get into the weeds of that movie here in a second, because
find the refrigerator and jump into it. You'll be fine.
We're nuking some fridges tonight, and I stupidly opened that fridge and willingly put myself in it, and I said I would do that one among some other ones. But that's where I'm at with legacy sequels.
And one of the hallmarks of legacy sequels is they are generally, they feel like you're generally late in the process. And with that, I give you Aaron who's coming in late in the process. Our own little legacy sequel. What's up, brother?
What's going on? I hope I haven't missed too much.
We were just kind of giving our thoughts.
Actually, we were just ending, so we'll see you next week. Everybody have fun. Bye.
Yeah. We did a YouTube short tonight, is what we did. But Aaron, I was just asking the guys. I'll go to you next now that you're here. What qualifies as a legacy sequel to you? What are the parameters it has to meet to be that for you?
So, I know I'm late to the party, but I have a feeling Tex already answered his little bit about how 10 years is a good area to sit with, and I kind of like that. But
number I went with.
Well, yeah, exactly. So like 10 years isn't a bad idea as far as that goes, but I guess it really depends on the movie itself. So when we go into this, are we going to count things like the Star Wars prequels, or
that's what I'm doing. I'm doing
yeah.
So like a legacy sequel.
Graham got that covered for us.
30 fucking years to get the episode. What is it? 7, 8, and 9. Does that count? Like I don't even know. So
we'll talk about.
I think I technically messed up when I had told Frank I was going to do Star Wars. I said, okay, more specifically, episodes 1 and episode 7. I'm like, well, 1's a prequel, but my point was to open the floor to there was from 1983 to 1999 there was no Star Wars until there's a big gap there between movies,
right?
So but technically as a sequel, I'm talking about 7,
right? So if we're gonna specifically keep it to sequels only, I would probably add 7, but at the same time, because it is such a serialized thing, we're talking about 9 movies, and while no one actually believes Lucas thought this all out back in the 80s. If he had, and it just took that long, would they count as legacy sequels, or would it just be a continuation of the series over the years? So I don't know. I would count, things like Tron. Me and Frank talked about this like briefly and like very briefly. I would consider like Tron Legacy a legacy sequel. You know what I mean? Like things that you weren't expecting to have a sequel that came out years later. Matrix, what is the new one called?
Resurrection.
I'm going to talk about that. I was like, hey, you got the poster in the background of another movie series I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, I do. I've had that's an original movie poster as well. I've had that for like 20 fucking years.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, that's ignore the absolute clusterfuck of a mess that my shelving is. Eventually it will be decorations, so we'll get there eventually. I like the 10 years though. I really do. But I do think it's movie specific, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think the parameters are going to kind of be different for everybody, because I think it is going to be kind of subjective. But I mean, I like what Tech says about 10 years ish between sequels, but I think I mean, there's other qualities that kind of has to have. You have to have at least one or two of the legacy characters. So if you were to do I know Gremlins is a sequel they've been talking about forever. It's been getting a little bit of press the last couple of years. They might want to do a third Gremlins movie. If you don't have Phoebe Cates or what's the name of the guy that plays? I'm trying to blank his name. He was really famous in the 80s, I forget. But if you don't have at least one of those characters in it, if you just bring in all new characters, I mean, you might be able to get away with calling it a legacy sequel because the Gremlins are so significant to the story that you can just call them that connective tissue of characters. But it's like doing Star Wars without Han, Luke, or Leia. It's like it's if you'd have had Top Gun without Maverick, I mean, it's you can't really call it a legacy sequel as much as you just call it like a Twisters is kind of what comes to mind now that I think about it. Is it a legacy sequel? Is it a remake?
Twisters was a remake. I still stand by that.
I haven't seen it, so that's a legitimate question. Is it a sequel?
They never really committed to what that was. There was ideas about how they wanted to say it was connected, but not. Another word that they use for a lot of this shit, and I really hate it because people throw it out there when they don't want to commit, is they call it a spiritual sequel, which I don't even know what the fuck that means. It's like it's either a sequel or it's not. There's not really an in between. There's lots of different terms that are going around about movies that may or may not be connected these days, but I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of the main thing about it is you need to have at least a strong connection to or the availability of other characters that can come in, because it's like Jurassic World it was a legacy sequel because it existed in the Jurassic Park universe, but you didn't really feel that way until you see Ian Malcolm's character in the second Jurassic World, and then of course you get the whole band back together from both worlds of that universe together in the last movie, which was kind of cool. But it's like there does need to be a certain amount of connective tissue and a certain amount of time that passes from one movie to the next. But that's really on you. That's really on the viewer to decide what they think those criteria are. I do want to go over this article with you guys though before I get to your guys' picks. I know that Aaron may not have any, but he can just do what I'm going to do and react to your guys' list.
Kind of free ball.
Let's go down this article. This is from Yahoo Entertainment. And this is 15 films with more than an 11 to 54 year gap. And now I'm going to go down the list of some of these movies. Now we're going to skip a couple of these because I know the guys are going to want to talk about it later on in the video, later on in the stream. So we may not go into them a lot. But the first one they talk about is Bill and Ted Face the Music. It came out in 2020. It was a sequel to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which came out in 1991. That's a 29-year gap between those. I mean, was that a legacy sequel that was done right to you guys? Jeremy, I'll go to you first.
I'm glad you asked the one person to start with who did not watch it.
Wow.
Well, now
you got offered to come sit and watch that with me and him, and you didn't show up.
Well, look, I mentioned this before you got on. I was just like, there are some where I have a lot of reserve when it comes to stuff like this because I'm kind of like, yeah, but Indy 4 happened. And it's just a fucking constant in the back of my head that Indy 4 happened. I was so fucking excited to see that because I was just like, oh my god, Indiana Jones, and I'm a young dumb high schooler like, oh my god, Indiana Jones.
Waller Bridge.
Not even.
Oh,
Well, no, I'm gonna mention 5 because there was even still a big gap between 4 and 5. Trust me, I'm going there. But it's a. I turn into that meme like, brother, like, fuck away from me. Why is John Wick clean shaven and I don't, dude, still here? I'm just like, it doesn't
yet. I haven't seen 4 yet.
So I don't. What, Indy 4?
No. Oh, I thought you were talking about John Wick 4. No, I've seen all the.
Oh, it's an Indy 4. I'm like, wow, you're a lucky man. He still hasn't.
I caught that little bit, and you're dead fucking wrong. While Indy 4 might have not been great, Indy 5 was all right. I just didn't like the ending.
No, you're fired.
I liked it. No,
fired.
Hold on. I liked it better than 4, but did I like it? I thought the story was at least a little more, they had Nazis. Time travel thing was done right. I was like, okay, this is fun.
Well, that time travel was like the neatest part of that.
Here's kind of what I thought about Indiana Jones 4 and 5. It's like I like 5 more than 4, but that's like saying I like shit with nuts instead of shit smooth because it's got nuts in it. It's like they're bullshit. It's just one has nuts in it. It's like that's kind of
well.
And I said we did the review that I think the Indiana Jones parts of that movie were great. The rest of that movie was awful.
If it tells you anything about how much we liked Bill and Ted, we're talking about Indiana Jones right now.
We already stopped talking.
I know.
I really don't know because again, I just got that reserve about legacy sequels.
Well,
like I don't know. Is it really? Do we really need another Bill and Ted? And I'm like, well, then that's
the second
point. Is the story good? Does it make sense? Like,
I don't remember. I saw it and my first reaction was, "Holy crap! Keanu needs to keep the beard." That was the first thought that I had. Fair. Like, never shave again. But I remember nothing. I remember nothing about the movie. Like, I saw it,
really,
and it was like the Men in Black came and like with that little mind erase thing. I remember nothing about the film. If it tells. Well, I take that back. Samara Weaving, that smoking hot blonde chick from Australia, plays one of the guy's daughters. Other than that, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. So whatever.
Actually, would Men in Black be one of them? Like, how long was it between 2 and 3?
So between 2 and 3 was pretty considerable, but between 3 and International was even more considerable.
International sucked. I put that one in the pile of it never happened.
I never even watched that movie. But let's go on to the next one real quick.
I haven't put my 2 cents in yet because I know, but
I can't do a 3-hour stream tonight, guys. So
I know, but this is one of the ones that I wanted to touch base on that I had mentioned to you before like what was that at like 4:00 today. So something that you mentioned, Tex, is that you didn't really pay or like you don't remember too much about this. The big thing about the Bill and Ted movies is that they focus on an individual aspect of something and then they roll with that the whole fucking movie. So the very first one was all time travel. It was all, we got to do this. We're going back in time. We're going to the future. We're going to the past. We're doing all that stuff. The second one was afterlife, heaven and hell. The third one was entirely multiverse. It was all exploring multiversal stuff. That's why we got multiple copies of each of the characters. We did all this. It was a fantastic fucking movie. They did it right. They did it justice. They followed the pattern that they set for themselves where they're not, because even though in the second movie they had the capability of doing all the time travel stuff because they had the phone booth, they didn't touch with the time travel too terribly much. And in the third one, they did the same thing. This was perfect as far as a legacy sequel goes, in my opinion. It's what it needed to be. Cool. It followed the formula that they had set for themselves, and it was a decent movie. Was it Bogus Journey? No. But Face the Music was pretty well done. I'm just really not super thrilled that they retconned the whole Bill and Ted are going to save everything situation, making it Wild Stallions and their kids instead of them. But I mean, it still was a fantastic sequel for what it was. With that, I will say that's my 2 cents on that topic, and we can move on from there.
Yeah, they clearly fucked up the idea of time, how time travel affects time in that movie, because they spend the first two movies talking about how Bill and Ted are absolutely the ones who save the universe, and then it's like, oh, never mind, it's their kids. Like that's not how time works. You can't just change time because you want to. It's not how time works. And then to top it off, I got to be honest, he was trying to play a less deadly version of John Wick in that movie. He should have cut his hair a little bit shorter. There was a lot less of that California surfer dumb kid in this time. He was still way too stern. It was just John Wick without the beard who could play a guitar. That's all it was. I didn't really like his performance in the movie. Love him as an actor, but that particular movie, he was not there for it, and it kind of annoyed me. But moving on, I'm probably going to skip a few of these. I know we haven't. I know none of us have seen Bridget Jones's Baby. I'm pretty sure. No. Let's see, Blade Runner 2049. I got to admit, I still haven't gotten around to watching it. I just haven't gotten there yet. Have any of you guys seen the movie?
No.
Nope.
I've seen most of it. Like I honestly fell asleep through it.
I'll get around to it again. I've heard from a lot of people that, much like the first Blade Runner from the early '80s, that this movie was really, really heavily. It was cerebral, a lot like the first movie. And while people look at the first movie and nowadays they look at it as, okay, now we're a little bit more evolved as viewers, we kind of understand this movie differently. That's kind of what this movie's probably going to be. Is it's just a little too far ahead of what a lot of people wanted. And then eventually people are going to look back on like the original. But I mean, I'll get around to watching it eventually. Bridget Jones's Baby, I don't give a shit. I don't think I even saw the first one. We'll talk about this one real quick. Candyman. There was a big gap between 1992's Candyman and the sequel that came out in 2021. That's almost a 30-year gap. I don't know. Tex, you're one of the ones that watches nothing but horror. Have you seen Handyman? Did you think that this is a worthy sequel?
That would be a fantastic movie, Frank. I'm doing it. Handyman. Starring Teddy from Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
I did see this one. I thought it was fairly decent. I saw this one maybe like the second weekend it came out because I kind of waited because I'm not the biggest fan of Candyman, but you can't be a horror nerd and not love Tony Todd. Like that's one of the rules. Must love Tony Todd. So I saw a lot. I believe it was second weekend. It kind of middle of the pack. Didn't do anything extravagant. It kind of came and went. Nothing like it didn't light the horror world on fire. It was like, oh, we have rights to this, so let's do it. Kind of what it felt like to me. But it was fine. Nothing great. Whatever.
Yeah, see, I don't know, Jeremy. I know that, like, again, you guys are the two horror experts on the panel. I mean, have you seen Candyman, the most recent one?
No, because I thought it was a fucking remake. Apparently, I didn't pay attention at all.
No, it was a sequel. It was very much a sequel.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
no, I didn't get this. I mean, I'm sure Tex might talk about it, but that's like with Halloween. You had Halloween, and then we had Halloween. That won't get confusing at all.
We've had like 3 films called Halloween so far.
Yeah.
That brings up a question that I had that actually I meant to do before we started the list. Tex, would you count the new Halloween trilogy as a legacy sequel?
Well, wait till I give you my 5 and I'll answer.
The one with what's her name in it. I can't even think of.
We don't want you to say her name anyway.
Yeah, I know.
We don't say her name. We don't say her name. And I will answer your question whenever we go to my horror part of this. I will. So I will. Leave. We'll leave it at that.
Retconning. I don't know if like retconning counts because like there's a bunch of movies and you have one that cuts all that out. Now it's like, well, technically now is a big 40-year gap. I'm like, yeah, but is there?
Right.
Yeah, that's another thing that gets me. It's like, I wasn't going to say this for the Star Wars, but I mean that's kind of a predicament. Now, are the prequels a legacy sequel? I consider them so because they came out several years after the last film.
Saying. There was,
but I was reading an article that considers Episode 7 a legacy sequel to Episode 6, even though 6 came out in 83.
83.
And that because that is the chronologically that's the next movie. That's the legacy sequel that's 30-something years later. And I'm like,
that's about how I would do it.
I don't know. I don't think it matters much. I think both. I think the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy are both legacy sequels in and of themselves because they came out several years after the last one.
Because they're separate storylines.
Well, they're all the same. They're all the
Skywalker saga, though.
they're all the Skywalker saga, but I mean, just like what I was talking about earlier,
They don't follow the same main characters.
The connection, the character connection. Well, Han, Luke, and Leia are in 2 of them. Well, technically, they're in all 3 of them.
Yeah, but they're not the main characters.
They're not the main characters. Well, but again, that's the thing of a legacy sequel, though. Is like, because if you look at the last Jurassic World, Sam Neill and all them weren't the main characters. They were part of the movie. Right. They were in there. They were playing their legacy characters, but they were not what drove the movie. They weren't the main characters like they were in the first Jurassic Park. So I don't think you need to have them the main characters. I just think you need to have them in there so they can play a role for the next generation, which is doing all that.
No, the fact, okay, before I even go there, there's only 6 Star Wars movies. Disney Star Wars sucks.
I'm going to talk about it.
I hate it. Okay. But the fact that you had Han, Luke, and Leia all alive and present, and you didn't have them together in one scene is a crime against film.
Well,
that sinks their battleship. You had all. How could you not have the 3 of them all find each other within the Millennium Falcon or something? They should have done that.
That's not even the problem that I had with the first movie that they came out, or with 7, I should say. My problem with 7 was we didn't even fucking see Luke until the last frame of the movie, and he didn't even fucking speak a word. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
And then you try to pull Lando out of the fucking deck of cards in the last one, like I was gonna fucking I was like, what? Hello?
No, I was super happy to see Billy D. Williams. But
hell yeah, I got excited. I was like, oh my god,
what
it's Lando.
The fuck was that? Like the whole trilogy just felt so bad.
Yeah, I actually kind of like how they handle Luke Skywalker, but I mean, I was just actually watching Bullets and Blockbusters. I told you guys about. He did a video about what was going to be that movie before they eventually figured it out, and like Luke was going to play a bigger part, and I guess that Mark Hamill was actually surprised that he ended up getting cut to like the last scene of the movie. He thought that he was going to have a bigger role in the first one, and J.J. Abrams was like, "No, we need to do it like this to establish these new characters. Then we'll bring you guys."
J.J. Abrams and his mystery box horse shit ruined Star Wars.
He makes Force Awakens is a good movie. I will die on that hill. Force Awakens is good Star Wars. The problem with the Star Wars the sequel trilogy, the newer ones, is they didn't have a plan going in. J.J. Abrams made the first movie, and he did not lay out. Okay,
what's his name?
Is going to be this. What the third
Rian Johnson.
He did the first.
Rian Johnson.
The Force Awakens was a good movie.
Yes,
it was a carbon copy.
You know what? They did a carbon copy of a movie
of A New Hope.
It's a carbon copy of a movie that is one of the greatest science fiction epics of all time. Yeah. I'll take that fucking copy any day of the week.
We didn't fucking need it. Do we
need any movie? I can't stand when people say that. We don't need any movie. No, seriously,
we just talked about this with Gladiator. Gladiator 2 is essentially the same as the first one. And I kind of felt like, well, I didn't need it. I had fun, but I didn't need it.
I'm actually boycotting seeing Gladiator 2.
Gladiator 2 was a good movie.
That was good.
I'm boycotting watching it. The whole point of the end of the movie was that little boy was supposed to grow up to be emperor. Like,
well, he
not
did.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, he would have. You know, watched 2.
So, yeah, you would have seen the come to fruition.
The whole point of Claudius dying at the end of the first one was so that the Republic could take back over and the Senate could be in charge. So why the fuck is there a weird fucking incest baby emperor? And why is he in the Gladiator arena?
Because if you don't have him, you don't have a movie. You can't make money.
Like that ever again.
I'm fucking saying,
like, right here.
Because you're one line of dialogue away from giving yourself a plot for another movie that's going to make you $300 or $400 million. That's why. Because no movie is necessary. No movie is needed. It's pure entertainment value.
I would disagree with you there.
I mean, Spaceballs was not a movie that was needed. It's great.
Oh my God, he's talking about doing a second one. Mel Brooks is talking about a second.
He made the joke when he was making the movie. That was the point. I'll let Mel Brooks have that because he already set the joke up like 30, 40 years ago. That's funny.
That would be a legacy sequel I want to see. But I do want to move on now. Also, we've got one that we talked a little bit about, Coming to America 2, Part 2, America.
Not one yet either.
Look, I thought it was fun. It wasn't nearly as good as the first one, but I thought it was fun.
Hey, at least we got James Earl Jones before he died.
True. Seeing him on screen as King Joffrey Joffer one more time was nice.
Well,
Also, John Amos just passed away a few months ago, so we got to see him on screen again too, which is very nice.
Really?
I've always been a big John Amos fan. I love that guy.
And we got to see Wesley Snipes, even though we all thought he was a retard.
Retarded.
He kept trying to ice skate uphill. You know,
They're both trying to ice skate uphill.
So I've said this about 11,000 times. That is now my number 2 all-time favorite movie, and it will probably stay there forever.
Only one Wesley Snipes. Only ever going to be one.
There's only one Blade. You know, only ever going to be.
We joked about that possibly being Marvel and Disney say like they're like coming out saying we're not doing it, and
we're not actually doing it.
Since then they've pretty much.
They pulled Blade completely,
and it's not coming back at all. We're not getting Mahershala Ali, and I'm super sad about it because he would have been so good.
Snipes, he may have been onto something there. But moving on to another one is Dr. Sleep from 2019. I honestly have not seen this movie yet. I don't know.
It was
why.
Dr. Sleep was good. Dr. Sleep, it was way closer to what the novel was. Ewan McGregor was fantastic in that movie. There was the way that when they're trying to scare the kids to get their energy, like it's very troubling in some scenes when you watch it. Dr. Sleep was a very excellent sequel to the first film, and like, oh my God, the scene where Ewan McGregor is poking his face through the hole in the door where here's Johnny and the axe came through. Best scene in the whole movie. I loved that scene. That was great. Dr. Sleep was good. I like that one.
Let's see. Another one in text. I want you to make sure you remember that we don't have all day for you to bitch about this one. Halloween 2018. I don't know. What did you guys think that was a worthy legacy sequel?
I haven't.
I'll let y'all go first.
Direct one. I haven't seen the first one, which was Halloween, but I have seen Halloween Kills and not Halloween Ends.
What is that? Y'all keep talking about that like that's a thing.
That's like saying you've watched Star Wars episode 2 and episode 5. I'm
very well aware. I'm very well aware. So when I went to go see Halloween Kills, I was unaware that there was the Halloween 2018 version. So I went thinking that Halloween Kills was the direct sequel from the 80s Halloween. It wasn't until we were like, maybe a third of the way into the movie, and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm missing some plot points because who are all these fucking people all of a sudden? But I mean, I thought that at least the one that I saw did really well. I felt like there could have been a lot more gore in it, but it was a worthy legacy sequel, in my opinion. Continuing the actual story from the 80s was kind of neat instead of doing another fucking crackhead reboot of the series like everybody seems to be doing these days. It was an interesting change of pace for the horror scene, in my opinion.
I don't know. Jay, what do you think? Quick thoughts on Halloween 2018.
Well, I think it was on its own. I think it was definitely a good movie, and it was a good sequel. I know we were going to talk about this, like ones that it's like, well, now does it technically count because like you basically just now retconned all the other movies that had come out previously. So I guess now you can technically keep saying about 40 times in the fucking movie that it's been 40 years. I'm like, and not jack shit happened. Like, come on. There's a reason why we have the rest of the sequels. I would have even willingly said, at least let part 2 in there. I mean, you whatever, like have 1 and 2, and then you can jump to 2018.
I was under the impression that part 1 and 2 were not retconned. Did they retcon part 2?
1 and then this. I don't remember if 2 was retcon. I was like thinking, I thought maybe at least.
I think they made it as a direct sequel to part 1. So part 2, the season of the witch, part 4,
well,
the H2O. None of them existed in this version, but whatever. I don't know. Tex, take it easy on me. What do you think?
Well, talking about 18 now hold on.
Financially, Halloween 2018 blew the doors off of everything. It was the 40-year. It was the actual year 40th anniversary for the film, which could help contribute to the success of the movie. It made $250 million in the box office, which is huge for a slasher movie. It had the right suit. Now the film itself, very heavily on the Jamie Lee Curtis, and y'all know how I feel about even saying the devil's name herself, because that movie.
Why don't you like her?
Don't get me started on that. We don't have time, but I promise we'll discuss it later. Put a pin in that one because I can go hours without either of these two saying a word. But Halloween 2018.
Go ahead.
Besides they played really hard into the trauma aspect of the survivor's guilt of Lori and what happened to her over the last 40 years since Halloween 1978. She had her child took away from her. She was the crazy lady on the block. She had her compound built. And Michael was really treated like the boogeyman, which is what I liked about the movie. Now, the fact that we see some podcaster at the beginning of the film, like dangling his mask at him, like, can you feel it? Can you feel it, Michael? Like, that to me was very cheesy. And I loved watching that podcaster getting his teeth knocked right out of his mouth in that bathroom. And like he's dropping them like popcorn. The movie was fine. It was a good start to the Blumhouse trilogy. I wish they had stuck with, and I'll touch on more of this with one of my picks later. Halloween 2018 is a fine movie. It's not one that I watch regularly every year, but it's one of the better Halloween sequels. And just to keep it short, I'll leave it at that because I can go on for another hour. But I'll save for next time.
I was gonna say it was the second movie date me and Rachel ever went on. So I mean, if that's
it was fine. It's by far the biggest Halloween movie box office wise we'll probably ever see until like the 100-year anniversary, and they do it again or whatever. But we'll see what happens.
But we'll do one more from this list real quick, just because I know that it's the horror movie, and I think most of us will speak fairly kindly about this movie, and that's Scream 2022. After however many years after, let's see, that one was an 11-year gap from Scream 4 to the newer version of it with Wednesday and all those other people.
Jenna Ortega.
I don't know. Jeremy,
wasn't that her first movie?
I don't know if it was her first, but it was definitely her first big one. I don't know. Jeremy,
she was an X.
Longer than that.
Yeah, Jeremy, what did you think of Scream 2022?
Well, it's even the in-meta joke that there's a formula to these movies, and that's, I mean, you can kind of forget it because you're like, well, yes, that's the point of it. I mean, we know how these go. The only thing about that I didn't like about it was I'm like, well, it's kind of predictable. It's like I know there's always the twist of there's two of them because we know from way back in the 90s it was her boyfriend and then it was also Stu. You're like, oh, okay, well, didn't expect that, But we're now in 2022, and I was like, I saw one coming from a complete fucking mile away. I'm like, yeah, I'm not shocked. You're the killer, and you can't come out of there like, boogie, boogie, boo. I'm like, no, motherfucker, I knew you were the killer. Like, it doesn't hit me like, the original did. And then one that I was kind of unsure about, but they say, yeah, look, there's two. I'm like, yeah, I know there's two. That's where the meta joke kind of fell on me. But I thought it was a fun movie still. It still works within the universe and the context and rules of how, like quite literally the rules that we've all heard Jamie Kennedy say many times. So
everyone is a suspect.
Everybody's a suspect.
I'll be right back.
I don't know. Tex, I know it's one of the movies that you liked a lot. Give me some of your quick thoughts on Scream 2022.
Scream 5 was fun. I liked because the first four were all about Sydney and her family. Like that, they really focused heavily on them. And the first four also focused on the stab movies within the Scream world. So whenever they came back for Scream 5 and into Scream 6, they focused on Billy Loomis's bloodline with Melissa Barrera playing the daughter of Billy Loomis, and they focused on the real life killings, not the movies. So they kind of flipped it and reversed it a little bit. I liked how they did that. They made Ghostface more brutal. They updated him, or it, because Ghostface can be anybody. They kind of they got up to speed with the violence and the gore. The one thing I hated, and I think every horror fan hated this, they killed Dewey in the movie. Dewey survived 4 freaking Scream movies.
Yeah,
that was in 5. So that was after the sequel that we've got so far. But yes, I agree with you there.
Yeah, like killing Dewey. Whenever they killed Dewey off in that hospital, so I was like, oh my god, this dude stabbed, like he's been stabbed, shot, killed, and after we see what happens in 6. Like, he could have lived, but, I guess David Arquette was asking too much money. So, but overall, Scream 5 was good.
Yeah.
How
was David Arquette asking
on
too much
Matthew
money,
Lillard
but
and say
they
he
still
can't
had
come back?
Hold
what's her name?
on, Aaron.
No. Go ahead, Frank.
No, I was telling Aaron to hold on so you can finish your point.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, Scream 5 was kind of what Halloween 2018 was. It brought the old people back to the franchise and got a lot of new younger eyes on it. So it kind of reinvigorated. So, Scream 5 was what it needed to be.
Aaron, what were you saying? What are your general thoughts on Scream 2022?
So to be completely honest with you, Scream is by far, hands down, my absolute favorite horror film series. When they came out with 4 originally, I was super upset with it because
I love Scream 4.
So I thought that the trilogy was the perfect end. I thought that the end of the 3rd movie was a perfect ending for the entire franchise. It rounded everything out. We got the trilogy. They even said in the movie the trilogy is going to be the end all be all. They killed off the film dude who was telling everybody everything they needed to know. So he came back in like a fucking video will kind of thing, like if this happens again, everything's gonna be different kind of shit. But that being said, 4 did amazingly. I didn't expect for Sidney Prescott to have a little sister, and then B, for the little sister to end up being the killer. That was nuts.
It was her niece. It wasn't her sister.
Yeah.
Well, I could have sworn it was her little sister, but okay.
No, it was her niece.
And then to touch on a point that you made, Tex. So the original trilogy really didn't focus too much around the movies that they built inside the universe. They only touched on that, I think, in the 3rd movie when they actually had the movie set as
Scream 2 opens up with the premiere of a stab movie.
Yes, it does, but they don't focus on that too terribly much. It does premiere with that, and yes, they follow the character they follow the guy who's beyond that, which is Lee Schreiber, like behind all the shit that goes on.
Yeah, he played Cotton Weir, yeah.
But they don't make that like a major plot point. It certainly didn't really follow into the 3rd movie at all when they were talking about her half brother and all this other crazy shit that was going on throughout that. And then with Billy Loomis's mom, see, that's the other thing too. Billy Loomis's mom being the killer in the 2nd movie alongside her boyfriend, which was like super. I don't know. I didn't feel like that was
Mickey.
A good. Yeah, I didn't feel like that was a good plot point. The dude from Monkeys, or what is that called? 12 Monkeys or whatever. I can't think of what his name is.
Yeah, I've said it 100 times. One of my least favorite horror franchises is the Scream franchise.
Fuck you too, because I thought it was perfect.
Well, here's the thing though. The first movie I thought was okay. I was with it. I like the fact that
Drew Barrymore dies in the first 10 seconds of the movie. Come on.
I know. Wes Craven, because he's very good at horror, did a really good job at modernizing the genre, I thought, for modernizing it for what it was in 1996 or 97 when that movie came out. But there was a clear decline in quality as those movies went on. Like, you got to the point where I went to the last one.
I could agree to that.
Like, when the last one came out, I mean, I remember going to the theater to see it, and I was kind of like, why am I here? I'm like, I know I'm here because I want to see a movie and because this is out and I feel like watching some kids get hacked up. But I'm like, why am I watching this? I kind of did it out of a sense of responsibility rather than just desire to actually see the movie. But But one of the things I liked about the newer Scream movies, starting with 2022, when this whole new crew came in, is that movie did something that the very first movie did. It brought that universe into a more modern time. It made a few things fresh while keeping a few aspects of the original. Some of the things that made the first movie very good, kind of building that story around those kinds of things. You have Sydney in there as a legacy character. You've got what's her name, Courtney Cox in there as the legacy character. So you have them pushing this newer crew of kids who are dealing with this thing through what's going on. That to me was a very well put together movie, and I thought it was really good. And I think the sequel was even pretty good. Despite killing Dewey, but I mean, to be absolutely honest, one of the things that makes legacy sequels good is when you do off one of those characters. I mean, even though they telegraphed it very, very badly, the moment that Han dies in Force Awakens, that sets the entire that is a
they should have killed off Gale. It should have been Gale, not Dewey.
And I thought they were going to. As I was watching that play out, I was like, this is where she goes out, and eventually it's going to be just
Sydney
what's
left.
her name left? Just
Sydney.
But that's how you
Nev
make
Campbell.
that's one of the things you can do for a lot of these legacy sequels to make them work, is you off one of these characters. Han Solo dies, Luke Skywalker dies. The last movie, Leia, obviously because of everything that happened with her passing away, Carrie Fisher passing away in real life, it's a bummer, but she died. Those three characters dying in that sequel trilogy made perfect sense to me. If you want to really move off of them, I mean, you can make more movies after them, sure, but those characters have to have an ending if you're going to have them in here at all. And I thought those were good endings for those characters. So yeah, I mean, I thought Scream 2022 was a good movie. Like I said, I made it very clear that I have not been particularly fond of those films overall over the years, but the newer ones have actually got me back on board for the most part, especially 2022, which I thought was a very well done movie. And I'll do this one real quick just because it's on here and I put it on the thumbnail. Top Gun Maverick. I don't know. Have you guys all seen it? I know Jeremy hasn't, obviously.
We reviewed it on here.
I don't think Jeremy was in on that one, though.
I'm not sure.
Because as my morals have always stated, and I'll say it again because his name was mentioned, fuck Tom Cruise and fuck your Scientology.
Oh, my God.
Sorry,
all right. Well, if we
every time his name's
so hold on a second. So hold on a second. Are you going to tell me right now that based off of like something like that, then that you now will not listen to a single song that P. Diddy has produced in the past 30 fucking years?
I don't think he's ever really been a big P. Diddy guy anyway.
How much baby oil do you have?
I'm not
That's what we need to know.
Necessarily. I'm not talking about just necessarily his music. I'm talking about anybody he's had a part in, like handling whatsoever. It's so ridiculous.
Like Frank said, like, what's the point of fucking movies? What's the point of anybody? Because everybody's been there. Like, what the fuck's the point then? Everybody in Hollywood is a piece of shit.
That's what I'm saying. So you're boycotting a fantastic story because of some dude whose personal beliefs aren't even interjected into the movie.
Yeah,
I'll say this very quickly.
Because she's a piece of shit.
So you're
very quickly about the Top Gun Maverick.
Mission Impossible either. All right.
The best scene my favorite scene in Top Gun Maverick is whenever Maverick goes to visit Iceman. And obviously we know Val Kilmer and the health stuff and everything that he's gone through. Whenever he goes to visit him in his home to kind of get that ooh-rah speech so he gets the fire to do what he needs to. I love how they handled that scene. Obviously Val Kilmer, probably my favorite character from the original Top Gun, to be honest with you. And how they handled him within that role, I thought was done respectfully and done very well. So for that alone, I have to like the movie. So yeah, I dug it.
That wasn't.
Did Aaron ask me, am I not going to watch Mission Impossible?
I already know the answer. We talked about this.
And to kind of piss off Frank a little bit, Top Gun Maverick helped make Glenn Powell a thing, Frank. So aren't you happy? So
I'm happy as hell. Glenn Powell can be a thing. That guy's a fucking star. He's the next Tom Cruise. Bring him on. Maybe he'll join Scientology and bathe in the blood of virgins, and he'll look exactly like this.
Is he the dude from Twisters?
Yes, he's the dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's the one from Spy Kids 3, you fucking fetus.
No, he was the one from The Dark Knight. He was the guy that Bane punched, remember?
Yeah, he got knocked out by Bane. Yeah.
Oh, at the fucking in the stock market.
At the stock market.
Yeah. No fucking way, dude.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And yes, Rachel, I have heard that version of the song. It's actually pretty funny.
She changed the song. Yeah, she
Yeah, that was pretty
changed it.
fun.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
Well,
fantastic.
here,
Yeah, Stuart's
I'll-
writing the movie for us. Mission Impossible 9, The Search for Sully.
Hang on, wait. How come her screen name is not Mrs. Grim Tuesday now? They're married. She has to legally change her screen name now on everything to Mrs. Grim Tuesday.
Hey,
I'm like, isn't that
it's a lot of
She's grim.
it's a lot of
She's
goddamn
Grim
paperwork, all right?
Wednesday. She's Grim Wednesday.
Well, no, if anyone knows what the hell my name is from, there is a Wednesday. Wednesday is actually a girl, but that's a different story for another fucking day. Wednesday is in fact a girl, but no, I will tell you, Aaron, I have not actually seen a single Mission Impossible movie. So
Blasphemy.
Your argument.
I haven't seen.
I honestly no. I honestly probably couldn't tell you how many Tom Cruise movies I've actually seen on one fucking hand. I actually probably could not. So I stand.
I can't wait
the original
for
Mission
Days
Impossible.
of Thunder 2. I love NASCAR. Can't wait for Days of Thunder 2 with Tom Cruise, buddy. I'm here for it.
Oh, hold on. I've seen The Outsiders. That's a good movie. He's in that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Was he in The Outsiders? Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Damn.
yeah.
He's also
Wait, so you haven't seen Live, Die, Repeat then either? Edge of Tomorrow? Oh, brother.
No, I wasn't kidding. I have just not seen a lot of Tom Cruise, honestly.
Live, Die, Repeat was worth it. You might hate Tom Cruise, but
there's a movie.
What is her name? Emily Blunt?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Holy fucking shit, she's hot as hell in that movie.
There's a movie I've been wanting to review, but it's really, really hard to find on any of the streaming services called Taps. It's from the early 80s. It's got George C. Scott not too long after he won the Oscar for Patton. It's got a very, very young Tom Cruise, a very, very young Sean Penn, a very young not Timothy Busfield, who am I thinking of?
Sean Penn and Tom Cruise in the same movie?
It's loaded with a couple of huge actors as they were kind of coming into their own. And man, it's good. It's about these kids that are at a military academy, and they fight. And these are kids that don't really have a life outside of their school. They're just really dedicated to this. They all want to go in the military and all this. They don't have family or whatever. And they find out that their school is being sold by the government and it's going to be turned into condos or something like that. And so they decide to take over their school to fight these people off. It's a great drama. It's a fantastic movie. Stuart knows what I'm talking about. That's
so my only question is, does Sean Penn order takeout to the classroom?
No, he does not.
Nah.
This was Sean Penn pre Fast Times. This came out a year or two before.
Really? Wow.
Or right around it. Within a year or two of Fast Times, this came out. I don't know the exact date.
Wow.
Pretty sure it was pre Fast Times. But yeah, The Outsiders, bunch of huge actors. But
my God.
That poster that I had up here on my closet for a while before the nail that I had holding it came down, it's of that movie Taps. It's a fantastic movie. That's a first run poster that I found online. But yeah, that's
cool.
what I want to watch. It's a very dramatic piece. But now what I want to do is me and Aaron are going to play around and we're going to react to a list that both Tex and Jeremy have made up for us about some of the legacy.
We're both like, shit.
Some of the legacy sequels that they want to discuss in more in depth. Let me start with you, Tex. Give me one of the first movies you want to talk about.
Well, since we've already kind of touched on this earlier, I'll pick it up. We're going to talk Halloween Kills. This film came out in 2021. Obviously, the original Halloween was 1978. They made the film for $20 million and it pulled in $183 million. Now, of course, if you remember back, I said Halloween 2018 did 250. The thing you have to remember here is this was during lockdown times. Theaters were hard to get to, and a lot of people were scared. So this was one of those, they released it online the same day as theater, which a lot of movies screwed up doing. Yes. So to still pull in $183 million for a slasher flick is nuts. They had little to no Jamie Lee Curtis, which, chef's kiss, thank you. I love that about this movie.
She was only in like 4 scenes, I think.
She very, very little of the movie. Haddonfield is the most real world feeling. It's like it's the small town down the street that you just drive through. It has never felt more like a character than it does in that movie. The flashback scene to 1978 to see what happened after Michael fell off the balcony. And then we see him go into the house and Will Patton's officer character. I love how they handled all of that. Michael is brutal in this movie. Michael he kills like 30 something people. I believe Halloween
Like
Kills has the
15
record for
right
most
at the end.
kills. And it's like, that ending scene is amazing. And shout out to the lady. People are hunting Michael all over Haddonfield. And there's this one little old woman with an iron in her hand looking to go hunt Michael Myers. God bless that woman. So Halloween Kills is a tremendous legacy sequel. The only great Blumhouse Halloween movie that they did out of that trilogy.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Still not quite everything I wanted it to be, but I thought it was decent.
I loved it.
Jeremy, what do you think? I mean, again, do you have any further thoughts on Halloween 2018?
Was he talking about Kills?
No, Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, well, that's why I stuck to 18. Because I was going to say, no, honestly, Kills, like, that's that. We're still riding that roller coaster up. And I was like, holy shit, this is getting even more insane and even better. Like, I thought, like Tex mentioned, like the way the podcasters died, I was like, God damn, that's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And then I had no fucking idea that he was going to be even more brutal in Kills. And I was like, Jesus, fuck, that's my.
The more he kills, the stronger he gets.
Stronger he gets. And I was like, that's exactly what I wanted out of this, man. He is just tearing through fucking Haddonfield, no holds barred, man. I was like, damn, this was good. I was like, man, I hope they do something good for the next movie.
Oh, was there another one? Halloween Kills was the last one they did, right?
No, they came out with a superior sequel called Halloween Ends. Anyway, Aaron, what do you think? What are some of your thoughts what are some of your thoughts on Halloween Kills? Real quick?
So as I mentioned earlier, I haven't seen the 2018 prequel to Halloween Kills, but I did see Halloween Kills in theaters. Which is why I was surprised when Tex said that it was one of the ones that came out streaming same day. Was that on Peacock, I'm assuming?
It was on Peacock, yes.
Yeah. So we did. I went with a coworker at the time. It was like a half date kind of situation, and I loved it. I did. The Halloween Kills was a fantastic movie. I think that the best scenes were the park scene with the swing.
With Lindsay and the kids,
great. and then the very final scene where they shot him like 4 times. Like they circled around him in the middle of the street. And beat the fuck out of him. Shot him a couple times, and he still got up and killed everybody. And I remember walking out of the theater going, "Man, I thought I'd see more blood than that." And I remember Kayla turning and looking at me, going, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" And I was like, I don't know. I expected there to be more blood. I don't know what else to tell you. Like I'm the kind of person who grew up watching things like Ghost Ship and never being able to finish that movie because it got too fucking scary. So like when I went into this, I was like, like Scream is my go-to for horror films. I don't really do well with like jump scares and crazy shit like this, but that was a fantastic fucking movie.
Yeah, I think it was good. I like the newer Halloween movies. They were better sequels to the original, as opposed to Season of the Witch, which didn't even have Michael. Or I still think that H2O is a good movie. Nick from Lost River Drive-In just a month or so ago did a video. You guys can go check out his channel where he talks about why that movie is misunderstood and actually a lot better than it gets credit for. That's a great video. You guys should go check it out. But yeah, I think it's a good movie.
Resurrection sucked.
True.
Yeah, was good. Resurrection sucked.
The Evil Dies Tonight stuff was like, that was a bit much.
Hey, I will defend that. I saw Halloween Kills 5 times in theater. Every time, me and multiple people walked out of that theater chanting "Evil Dies Tonight." That was my ringtone for a while. I love that.
A little too heavy-handed on that stuff.
You got a little obnoxious.
Jeremy, what's one of the movies what's one of the legacy sequels that you like that you want to talk about?
Oh, that I liked? Oh, well, I might have to change my answer.
Or that you want to talk about anyway. Whether you like it or not, notwithstanding.
Well, because I was going to start off with like Star Wars, and as a whole, I was going to talk about episodes 1 and 7. Which I can still do that. Because like I wanted to. It's something that it's been a part of like my entire fucking life. I've seen 4, 5, and 6 when I was a real little kid. This is pre-episode 1. So I was like, what, 7 years old or some shit? I remember going to it. I remember the fucking hype. I'm like, I don't know if I was quite old enough to have understood, like, you know, the original trilogy. And then that's what I was starting with, was that was a big gap of time between, you know, not having any Star Wars since 83. And then everyone was losing their fucking mind. Like, oh my God, there's more coming. There's episode 1. And, you know, that's why the movie Fanboys is a fantastic movie.
Love it.
Fantastic movie. Because I'm like, I was like, I feel like I feel like those guys are like my group of friends. I feel it. I'm like, that feels like my group of friends. And I'm like, that would totally have been us in the fucking late 90s. I have no doubt. So that was just kind of like my intro to, like, you know, that's the thing that I was trying to justify this, like, with the time jump. It's like, there's enough time there that there was definitely that hype that, you know, we're getting more Star Wars, and I'm like, I don't know what this is going to be. And I know I kind of cheated because that's really a prequel, but wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, who fucking makes 5, 6, 7 or 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3? Fucking learn to count, man.
Continuity, spontaneity.
Yeah, whatever. It's all one, and I'm with Tex. I hate that, like, now that it's kind of rounded itself out with 7, 8, 9. I'm like, I'm sorry, but 2012, that's a bad year for Star Wars. Because we all know
it died.
Signed that fucking dotted line, and I was like, I was even skeptical of that. Now that's what leads me into 7, where I was like really fucking worried that, like, I don't know what this is going to be, and this is actually a sequel to, I guess, like Frank said, I didn't think of it that way. That, do you want to count that big of a time gap between 1983 and 2015, or do you want to? I went with 2005 and 2015 because that's like, well,
I'm with Jeremy on that one. It's sure, if you want to talk about a timeline continuity in universe, sure, but that's not what we're talking about when it comes to legacy sequels. We're talking about actual real life release dates, not continuity in the universe timeline. So I'm with Jeremy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you're going from 2005 with Revenge of the Sith to 2015. Now we have the Force Awakens, and I'm like, still, you know, as apprehensive as I was, and this is now post 84. I know where my reserves are like, ugh. But to me, like I said, it's Star Wars. Like, I'm gonna sit here and keep quoting like fanboys. I'm like, yeah, but it's Star Wars, man. This is like,
it's the wars, bro.
It's the wars, bro. Like, literally, it is that line to me. I'm like, it's the wars. I'm not gonna not see it or want to be into it. Even I'm still, to this day, and I'm a little more miffed at Disney because I got into the EU and all the other stuff, the books, the comics, and shit like that, and then for them to be like,
yep.
Nope. Didn't happen.
As soon as Disney had it, they were like, we're calling it all legacy. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, well, I'm glad I wasted my whole time doing that. And then, because what makes me more miffed is that then they're like, oh, but we want to cherry pick the fact that, oh, Boba Fett did live. Boba Fett got out of the Starlight Pit. No. You don't get to say it didn't happen.
I know, right?
And then say you made it happen. Like, get the fuck out of my face. Someone else made that happen, and now you want to take credit for it. You know what? I need that clip of Elon Musk going, you know what? Go fuck yourself, Bob. Is that clear?
Oh no.
Yeah,
I want to say
I'm with Frank. I liked Force Awakens. I didn't think it was a bad movie. Yes, it is episode 4.5. But I thought it was a fun movie, and then it kind of,
let me see if I can find this real quick while you
went
guys
downhill after that.
Yeah, here's the touchy part about the Star Wars movies is they are generationally, they're kind of next level. Some things kind of transcend even the medium that they're in. And good, we get to watch Aaron dicking around in his fucking closet. Thanks for giving me great content, Aaron.
Turn your cam off, asshole. Oh, look, we're literally seeing him come out of the closet live. Holy shit. Amazing.
I knew something was over. He got them braids, and he got braids, and now he's coming out of the closet, boys. It's all over.
Somebody clip it. Like a newborn deer. Look at him. Tiptoeing.
Anyhow, I was going to look for my books that I have to jump onto a point that Jeremy made. I also jumped into the extended universe like a motherfucker. And when they retconned a lot of the books, they retconned all the comics. I was so fucking mad because there was some shit that happened in some of the books that was epic as fuck, and it would have been cool to fuck you, Frank. I just saw that. There's not even a door on that. How is that considered a closet? Y'all can go to hell.
He's not even trying to hide it. He just sits in there all day, like.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Hey,
look who's
we
in
can't
the
get
chat
canceled
now.
now. Hey,
God damn it.
this podcast is now cannot be canceled because we're like inclusive and shit, right?
Yeah,
we're good.
We're totally DEI now. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Aaron,
we're DEI. Yeah.
Aaron, give them some of your thoughts on Star Wars while I step away for just 1 minute, okay?
I got you. Yeah. So
Frank's going into the closet now.
yes, he is. So like Jeremy said, with the retcon, as soon as they made everything legacy, I was just done. I was so done with it. I knew that episodes 7, 8, and 9 were going to be a disappointment, at least for me. I've said this, and I will die on this hill, and I will continue to die on this hill for the the entire rest of my life, because they'll never go back and change it. They can't. The only way they can is if they go back and say 7, 8, and 9 didn't exist. Here's your new trilogy. I waited my entire motherfucking life for this sequel. I waited my entire fucking life for this sequel, and they killed my favorite character at the end of the first movie. No. I was so fucking.
I was pissed as fuck. I was like, I love Han Solo. I'm not gonna. And it was telegraphed as shit. Like we said, I was like, oh
Star Wars
no.
in the first place. Han Solo was my favorite character from the original trilogy. Everybody's all like, Luke was the super cool. He was this. No, Han was it. Han was who I wanted to be growing up. You know what I mean? And then they fucking killed him. After also turning him into a bitch. Like, what the fuck?
Well, it's like after we all watched, like I grew up with the prequel trilogy. And I'm like, yeah, Anakin Skywalker, yeah, woo, Hayden Christensen. But I was like, as I got a little older, I was like, nah, you know what? Obi-Wan's where it's at. Obi-Wan's fucking awesome. Now you see it all in context now, 1 through 6. I was like, no, I can get behind Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, to kind of touch on what you started with this though, Jeremy, I am a prequel defender till I die. I never hated it. I was going into let's see. I was going into ninth grade. I was going into high school the year the year episode 1 came out. And I can remember the hype and all of these things. Or no, excuse me, I was going in 8th grade. I can remember the hype. I was at my local Walmart when they first put the episode 1 figures and merch on the shelf. I was part of everybody rushing to go buy that stuff. Just like you said, with the whole fanboys thing. I lived through that. I know what that was. I know how accurate that movie was. And I love the prequels. Like, obviously, I think everybody loves the original Star Wars trilogy. But for me, gun to my head, I'm a prequel guy forever. I love them, all 3 of them. Episode 1 is my favorite. But arguably, I think Star Wars Episode 3 might be the best Star Wars movie, up there with Empire. Arguably, I would just, and I know that's a huge argument starter. I think Episode 3 is a tremendous film, but it is what it is.
Amazing. RTJ is still my favorite, but Revenge of the Sith is a close second.
Revenge of the Sith is a tremendous film. And I know people crap on Anakin and Hayden Christensen for how he played so whiny, but you know what? That was the direction that George gave him.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this because this has been brought up on the channel before. Hayden Christensen is a brilliant fucking actor. He played.
He's good. Yeah, he's good.
The way he was told to. We would not have Darth Vader if Anakin wasn't a whiny bitch in the second movie.
Hey,
we wouldn't.
Like
he would not have turned into Vader without that attitude. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Hayden Christensen is one of the couple of saving graces about the Obi-Wan series, is he really got to actually fully portray Darth Vader / Anakin in that series.
Yeah,
that was one of the few things that made that series watchable. It's like just having Obi-Wan on screen again in the form,
Whenever Hayden Christensen goes, "I killed Anakin," like half of his mask is gone. That one scene alone is worth what the Obi-Wan show sucked. I had to work to get through it. Yeah, but that one That one fight scene alone was why I stuck around just to see that fight scene.
So I can't remember that. Was Alec Guinness?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was the original. Yeah,
Alec Guinness was wonderful as Obi-Wan in A New Hope, but Ian McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, now I saw it all in context. I'm like, these two guys are one and the same character. Obi-Wan's fantastic.
But Tex, what's one of the movies that you wanted to point out, you wanted to discuss when it comes
to Legacy? And Jeremy, it's time to do your thing, because we talking Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, buddy. I love this movie. This one, of course, the greatest horror film ever made, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, came out in 1974. This was a 2013 release. It was made for $20 million and it made 47, so it was a profitable film. This film, you know, we talk a lot about what makes a legacy sequel, this and that, you know, and one of the big things is bringing back your original cast. This film brings back Marilyn. Yes. Sorry, I had a brain fart. We get Ed Neal, the hitchhiker, back. We get Gunnar Hansen back, and we got Marilyn Burns back as in her roles. This film, it's a direct sequel to the original. They get kind of fast and loose with it. Technically, they bring back another legacy person from a different cast movie. They bring back Bill Moseley as the cook, which you will know he played Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, but for legacy sequel's sake, he plays the cook. It's not a good movie, I guess you want to say. A lot of people crap on it. It wasn't. It kind of came and went, is one of those things. But I love Texas Chainsaw 3D. Alexandra Daddario, my God, there may not be a hotter woman walking the planet Earth to this day. Her eyes, just everything, tremendously smoking hot.
Yeah, that's what Tex was looking at the whole time she was on screen. That's right. Mm-hmm.
The scene where she is tied up in the meat packing plant, and that flannel shirt is just hanging on for dear life, buddy.
My Lord, was doing some fucking work.
Oh, they were them things were thanging, as they say. Great casting in the film. Alongside those, we get Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son. He plays the titular bad guy role. He plays Officer Hartman. You think he's a good guy, then toward the beginning, the Hartmans reveal through the passage of time what happened within this film. But what this movie did was they were playing with the whole Sawyers and their effect on the town and their area in Texas, and they were setting up a Sawyers versus Hartman like a blood feud. And I don't know how many of y'all saw the Leatherface movie that came out a couple years afterwards, but that was a prequel to this movie. And what this movie was setting up, they had like an 8-movie plan, and like I think maybe even like a television show or something, of the Sawyers versus the Hartmans, about, you know, how the Sawyers are bad guys, but the people in the town are just as bad. Texas Chainsaw 3D, it was a gimmicky film. It came out in that time where everything was 3D because that was whatever, right? The 3D was unnecessary. There's like one cool scene where like the chainsaw gets thrown through the air and whatever. It was nonsense. It's a schlocky Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. It doesn't do anything original. It doesn't do anything extraordinary, but I like it. I think it's a good movie, and if you can find it, I would say go watch Texas Chainsaw 3D, but watch the original before you watch this.
I don't know. I got to be honest. I know I've seen the movie, but I can't remember anything about it.
but to say that's fair. This is like one of the many Texas Chainsaw timelines and sequels that a lot of people confuse with other Texas Chainsaw movies. And that's partially why I wanted to highlight it with this. There was 100 different movies I could have talked about, but I specifically wanted to mention this one just because it, you know, do your thing, cause it's a meme. It's huge. It's, you know, Jeremy knows that's why he's shaking his head right now. But
it's such a goofy ass line. I don't.
Yeah. It's a fun movie. I'll say.
Just found out like 5 seconds before that moment that she's a fucking swear, and she's like, "Do you think?" I'm like, "What the fuck?"
She goes from, I'm running from a guy with a chainsaw to she reads one box of newspaper footage and police reports. Now she's a full-blown Sawyer, and she's going to stab cops with a steak knife through the metal shield in the cop car. It's great.
Yeah.
So, go watch Texas Chainsaw 3D. It's a lot of
fun. Jeremy, any quick thoughts?
Well, I know we're in the chat talking about, the quick heel turn that Anakin made. I'm like, you want to talk about a fucking whiplash of a heel turn? That was even worse. I would take Anakin Skywalker going to the dark side to all of a sudden Alexander Daddario is somehow like
when she goes bad, she gets 1,000 times hotter. I'm like, I will marry you and get you pregnant right now. I am so down. Like, let's go.
My only gripe with that movie is that, like, if you did set it like 40 years later, I'm like, that bitch is not 40. I don't care how many times you're going to tell me.
I don't care.
40 years old. You're not going to believe
her hotness. Her hotness. Oh, if you said she was 140 years old, I would have believed it. But it did not matter.
The fucking blood of all her family's victims, then, because there's no way she's that old. But whatever. Sure.
I love me some Texas Chainsaw 3D, buddy. I dig it.
I don't know. Hey, Ron, what do you think about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D?
I remember watching this like the year it came out, but not in theaters. It was definitely at home. And I don't remember too much of the original, but I do remember it being a decent.
How can you not remember Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
So I would have seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I was like 6 or 7. I didn't really. So like some of them stick in my head from back then, like the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Street movies, the first what is that? What's that Jason movies called? Or aren't they just called Jason? I can't remember.
Friday the 13th.
So the first 2, not the first Friday the 13th, but the second and the third one, like those stick in my head pretty well. I know I saw the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh my god!
But it's not one of the ones that was popular with my family, so it's not one of the ones I saw more than once.
Greatest horror film ever made. Greatest.
But I do remember watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D and going, wow, it's been a couple of years since they came out with one of these, and it was done well. And to hit on the same point that Tex made, I do remember the chainsaw flying at the screen. It felt a lot like My Bloody Valentine 3D. Now, all the movies.
I love My Bloody Valentine 3D with Jensen Ackles as well. Yeah. Another great movie. I like that one too.
He did another horror movie. Wasn't it The Mist, or was that Jared Padalecki?
Jared Padalecki was in Friday the 13th, 2009.
Yeah, no, so not what I'm talking about. There was a movie called like The Mist or The Fog or something like that, where I think it was
that was Tom Welling, the guy that played Superman from the CW from Smallville.
You're right. Oh my god, yep. How did I? So I watched both of those shows side by side because one was right after the other, and that was all through high school, so that kind of melted together a little bit. But yeah, I guess it was Tom Welling, wasn't it?
Yep.
But it was a good movie.
Maybe this is one of the ones I have to put on the list to rewatch so we can review. I don't know. I'll think about it because, like I said, I remember going to see it, but it was that time in life where I was just going to see movies because that's my thing, and half of them I wasn't really paying attention to. Maybe this is just one of those movies.
Yeah. Well, keep expectations low. Just keep in mind this is a schlocky horror sequel for like the 5th timeline within the Texas Chainsaw world, and you'll enjoy it. Don't go in expecting like The Patriot or something. You know what I mean?
You think Halloween's timelines are convoluted, man? Texas Chainsaw.
Right. Yeah.
Who's responsible for that franchise? Because like I know Wes Craven did Scream and he did
Toby Hooper.
Okay.
The late great Toby Hooper gave us Texas Chainsaw.
Mm-hmm. Noted.
But moving on, guess who decided?
Have you seen my wiener?
He's saying is Tex an actual movie critic only when he watches horror movies? Well, you see, what I'm going to do, I actually had a brilliant idea for a video series we could do. I was going to get Tex together with some random homeless bum in Texas and have him review movies. Oh, Casey did that already. Oh, damn. The one thing you beat me to, Casey. The one thing you've done before me. The one thing you've outdone me on.
Damn.
See,
go check
What
out
hope-
see,
Casey.
Casey,
did I
what it
miss?
is, I specialize in horror because it's what I love and it's what I know. It's why, like, Aaron and myself can just have a whole conversation, and I'm throwing out factoids like it's nothing because there's an encyclopedia of knowledge up here, my friend. So yes, I am a critic.
Like I said, I'm letting him take the horror movies on this one. I'm gonna go a different route. So
I don't know.
Right.
Jeremy, go ahead and give me your next movie.
Huge into that. Hey, quit skipping me, motherfucker.
You just talked about this movie already.
What movie?
We're just talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, no. That when I say skip, no, I'm not talking about that. I have
are you
one
talking
for the
about?
list as well.
I didn't even give you time to put together a list. I didn't know you were going to be on the stream
I know.
until like 3
while
hours ago.
while we were fucking sitting here going through this, I noticed a few we
God,
didn't
this is
talk
going to be another
about.
late night, isn't it? Go ahead. I'll give you one.
No, it's all right. It's all good. Let Jeremy take. I'll go I'll go at the very end in case somebody does bring it up.
We can rapid fire yours, but like I said, I don't have until midnight to do this tonight.
I just have
Jeremy,
one.
go ahead and give me your next one.
all right, well, I'll still stick in the Lucas camp here, even though some people may argue that it's not exactly. We're in a different campsite now, but I think the one that really kind of started this all, at least for me, and also the disdain for shit like this, was Indy 4, because I went.
Oh
This came out in 2008. I'm balls deep, right? I'm in the middle of me being in high school, and I was like, again, I was into all this stuff. Like I mentioned, Star Wars. I was really into Star Wars. I was really into Indiana Jones as well, and I was kind of just I was shocked at first. I thought, oh damn, we're making another movie, and then I kind of looked into it. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, Harrison Ford's coming back, and we got Kate Blanchett and kind of psychoing out Shia LaBeouf, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. This might be fun.
Pre-psychoing out is probably the best phrase I've heard all night.
So, yeah, man, you got before he loses his goddamn mind. And yeah, I would like to say it just as a dumb fucking teenager, I was just like blindly hyped and excited. I was like, oh my god, more Indiana Jones. This is gonna be awesome. And then I watched it and I was kind of just like, what the fuck was that? What?
Hang on, Jeremy. While you're talking, I'm going to go to the refrigerator real quick and get me a drink, if you know what I'm saying. I hope a bomb doesn't go off, so I'll be right back.
That was not the worst part of this movie.
No.
Please continue.
I hate you for that. Like I guess he said it, that became a straight up fucking meme. Like I said, I think this is what kind of made this whole thing happen by saying, yeah, we nuked the fridge, or before that it was jumping the shark, shit like that. And I the only thing I could forgive, I know people were always like, well, it's not Indiana Jones if it's not Nazis and religious artifacts, and I'm like, I'll only forgive the fact that it was Russians, because I'm like, well, it makes sense in the time period. It's not like Nazis were non-existent, as we saw with Indy 5. Like, yes, they're there, but they're not like a prevalent force. So I was like, okay, well, Russians make sense in the 50s. We're talking about the Red Scare. We're talking post-World War II. I was like, okay, whatever. That's fine. If you make it work, great. But then you go the alien skull route, and I'm like, I don't think that's really... I was having a hard time with it, because I'm like, that's kind of a weird supernatural thing, not necessarily that religious artifacts like that melt people's faces off in a glorious fashion isn't. But I don't know, man. That kind of killed my fucking spirit, man. I don't know what happened with that. And it's not that Harrison Ford, can't still do it. I mean, he still kicked ass in that movie, but as he said in Last Crusade, I mean, he chose poorly.
Aaron's waiting. Okay, ready?
No, and I wanted to lump in with 5, because even 5 had a big gap between 4 and 5. But I think that one, yeah, Dial of Destiny at least kind of did it better. They went right back to Nazis, that it's still, that's a prevalent thing. But I was like, okay, it still wasn't religious, but I'm like, it was time travel. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I think that part was actually played in pretty well. I thought it was a really cool scene that they're in the plane, they're trying to use the dial, and I think even Indy's like, wait a minute, guys, this isn't gonna work. Like, You know, Archimedes lived like
yeah, he's like, I don't know where we're going, but it's for sure not Berlin.
Yeah, like even just that, you're like, I don't know if we really should be messing with this kind of thing. And then like the way that was shot, them in the plane, you come out and you see all like the ancient like the boats and the fucking like catapults and I was like, oh my holy shit, you overshot it by a lot. You better start tapping that flux capacitor, dude. I think you went a little too far back. I thought it was kind of a fun end, and it's fan service, whatever. But you still had Marion, you still had them come back, and I thought they were kind of doing the dumb, like, oh hey, look, that ruined the ending of 4, because I was like, the only one good thing about 4 too is I was like, oh, they got married, cool, great. That all finally came to fruition, and then they kind of like were like, not really, and yeah, here we are again, we're back. I was like, don't play with my heart like that. Just maybe she was off doing something else. I don't fucking know. Hey, you had Sala. You had Sala back too, which is always fun to see him. So I don't know.
Aaron,
a really bad one and a slightly better one.
Aaron, you were sitting there quietly waiting for your moment to strike. Go ahead.
He was itching.
I will try to be as brief as I can with this, but to touch on a point that we talked about with the Star Wars thing, I was very much into the extended universe of Star Wars, but that also goes for the same with Indiana Jones. You may or may not a lot of people do know this, but there were books and there were comics that they made of Indiana Jones. And if I'm not mistaken, Indiana Jones as a character actually predates the movies that Harrison Ford starred in, as like an adventure series with a guy who was an archaeologist with all this paranormal shit happening around him. So in point of fact, the religious aspect and the Nazism that we see, like you mentioned before, with the 4th movie specifically, is all specific to the time period. So the only reason we had Nazis in the original movies is because those are set during the time period where Nazis were the bad guys in the world. Whereas we got the Russians in the 4th one because, like you said, it was during the Red Scare and all that other good stuff. So, but to bridge that even further, the extended universe of Indiana Jones does not at all focus on religious artifacts. That scene we get in the 4th movie at the very beginning when they pan out and you see just how big this fucking warehouse is full of all these things. 95% of the stuff that's in that warehouse is stuff that Indy had a hand in the US government confiscating. So all of those are individual crazy ass fucking stories that they had. And I knew going into Crystal Skull that there was a good chance it wasn't going to be religious based, especially considering in the time period, movies that were coming out that had any kind of connotation about religion were getting boycotted or doing really poorly because so many people are like, political correctness. And we're still even in that kind of phase right now. But
we've been in that phase since the beginning of time about religion. We've killed each other over less than that.
Right, but people used to be a little more bold with their movies. That there's stuff that we don't see in film anymore that we used to see 20 years ago. There's even crazier shit if you go back 40 years. Now, a lot of people are like, I can't, like, I don't know. I went back and tried to watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation a couple years ago, and I was like, oh my God, this is like sexual harassment everywhere. It's so, but then again, the more that
is one of the few good Christmas movies I like. You watch your mouth, sir. I like that movie.
No, you're preaching to the choir, brother, because it is still in my top 5 Christmas movies, but it is hard to watch these days because, I mean, to be just the scene when he's talking to the fucking, tell me that you can go to the mall right now and stand opposite of like a 9 out of a 10 who's talking to you about stuff, and you can stumble over your words like Clark Griswold did and not get arrested for sexual harassment. Tell me that that's possible. Because he like said breast and like fucking touched her tits and shit. Like, what the fuck is going on right now? But it is a fantastic Clark, is your house on fire? Is the greatest line I've ever heard in a Christmas movie. But it goes back to more being his comedy anyways, which is why he's not even like doing anything these days. Yeah, he's not relative at all.
Well, he's also just kind of an ass.
Well, he always has been. But
I mean, not even like a
we
funny
used to
ass.
like
He's
that.
actually like a
we
piece
used
of
to
shit.
no, we used to like that in our comedy actors. That used to be the whole comedy stick. Is that
Well,
we
then we
got
realized it wasn't a
assholes.
joke. We're like, oh, he's
But
actually an ass.
we're way off tangent here. But to get back to back to what I was talking about, the extended. I knew going into 4 that there was a high chance it was going to be something unrelated to Christian religion, and the fact that they brought it into not aliens like everybody said, but like extra dimensional beings, it was perfect. They did a fantastic job with it. They shouldn't have they should have just recast Shia LaBeouf, and we could have had his son in Dial of Destiny. It had been enough years. He could have grown up and been a different actor altogether. We should have gotten Mud, and I'm so fucking mad that we didn't. I'm mad that they killed him off. I'm mad we didn't see Marion in the whole movie. I'm mad at the way the movie ended. She should have let him fucking stay in ancient Greece, damn it. But I mean, but
it would have been a wild like roundabout, like holy
it
shit.
would have been the perfect ending to his character. He's never gonna have an ending. We're gonna get another Indiana Jones movie, and it's gonna suck.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
Not till after he's dead.
No.
They might
No, we
reboot
won't. No, they're not going to reboot it either. He is going to come back as Indiana Jones, even older than he was in 5, and it's going to be fucking stupid.
On that note, do you want to know? You guys want to know something I heard today? I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard about it somewhere that apparently Disney is considering bringing Johnny Depp back for another run at Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's not a surprise. They've been talking about that for like 5 years now.
I don't know if he'd want to though.
He openly said so when. No, he won't.
No,
so
but not even that.
The problem is when the Amber Heard shit happened, they already had this on the books to be a thing. And when the Amber Heard shit happened, and they dropped him as a cast member from the 3rd Harry Potter sequel franchise. When they dropped him from that, he publicly came out and said he will never fucking work with Disney again, even if they offer him a Pirates movie. So they have been talking about
the alpacas.
But he's not gonna do it because they fucked him too hard. Like even if he does want the money, he doesn't need it. You know what I mean?
Well, there's one thing to keep in mind: money talks and bullshit walks. Disney throws enough money at Depp, he'll come running back like a scared little dog.
Well,
I wouldn't hold my breath.
The last time he starred in one of those movies, he got arrested in Australia. I don't think he's that keen on the role.
His career needs a boost after the trial thing, and while his movie that he directed with Pacino is doing really well in Europe and maybe getting a release here in the States, he wants to get back into mainstream, and this is the way to do it. So it makes sense for him. I wouldn't do it. That's just me. But I don't know. Tex, what's one of the legacy sequels that you want to discuss tonight?
Yeah, I kind of picked a couple two from the same franchise and 3 that were different. So I'm going to highlight a different one here. But Evil Dead from 2013. Originally, this film was going to be a straight up sequel to Army of Darkness. You know, the 3rd Sam Raimi produced, Bruce Campbell starring. But as this movie was being pitched, because Bruce Campbell owned stake in the Evil Dead franchise, he crept all over it. He said, no, there's no way in hell. They were going to recast Ash. At one point, Ashton Kutcher was going to take the Bruce Campbell role, which I could not imagine a worse casting for that, by the way. But basically what happened was they made a compromise. They technically remade the movie, even though it is a sequel, and they just left the Ash character out. Because if you've seen the post-credit scene, you get a groovy right there at the very end. This movie was made for $17 million and it made $97 million. Hugely profitable, especially for a blood and guts horror film. They used 70,000 gallons of blood in this movie. 50 of those 70,000 were used for the last credit scene. As it's raining blood, Mia's covered, everything is saturated, the whole ground is soaked. This movie was huge. This movie it stuck to the lore, it honored what came before it, but it pushed forward. So instead of Ash being the survivor who loses his hand, we have Mia, who was a great character as well. People talk about female heroines. Mia was a great one. They played up off of her like drug use into like, is she really seeing the deadites or is she relapsing? You don't really know at times. The violence and the gore is amazing. There's one scene where the nurse chick, once she's possessed by a deadite, she has this big shard of glass, and she's like carving her face like she's the Joker or something. And it's one of those scenes. There's blood, guts, gore everywhere. It makes you just want, like, people walked out of the theater when they saw this. I will never forget that as long as I live. Huge success. Everybody loved the movie. It was directed by Fede Alvarez, by the way, which, we just saw his Alien film, a couple months ago. So he's done his time within the horror world. And he also did a Texas Chainsaw from 2022. So Fede Alvarez, he's got his horror cred. I love this film. It was supposed to get a sequel. Ultimately, Universal. Huh?
I thought it did. Was there not an Evil Dead 2? I could have sworn there was.
Evil Dead Rise is not a sequel to Evil Dead 2013. Different timeline.
Okay.
What was supposed to happen, once this movie came out, they were in talks to do 2, but Universal shot it down. So now, do y'all remember the Ash versus Evil Dead television show that came out on Starz?
Yes. I own that motherfucker on physical.
He worked in that grocery store again still?
Yeah, S-Mart. Shop S-Mart, buddy.
I got that shirt in my closet, right?
The reason why you got Ash versus Evil Dead, because the sequel that they pitched, they were going to bring back Bruce Campbell and have him team up with Mia in like this multiversal taking on Deadites thing, but they didn't want it. So instead, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell went and made the television show, which got canceled way too early because it's a tremendous show, by the way. But Evil Dead from 2013, I really enjoyed the film. It takes everything good from the original, it just freshens it up and doesn't shit on and add woke shit. It's just a good movie. So go find it if you haven't seen it.
No. Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts on that film?
I think I actually watched it initially in 2013, maybe 14 or so when it came out. And it says nothing about the movie text, so don't get mad at me. I was watching it and I actually fell asleep.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
It has nothing to do with the movie. I was actually genuinely tired.
Everybody has their own taste. It's all good. We're all good.
I'm just setting up like that time period. Like I say, like it was that long ago, but like, I don't know. I was like laying on a couch and it was lights out. It's not that it didn't keep my attention. I got to about, oh God, was it maybe when she got into the woods and we do and
she gets
the tree.
Yeah.
I think it was that.
I was about to use the R word, but I know YouTube doesn't like that, so I had to temper myself.
But no, then I saw it. I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, finally, or maybe 3 years ago. So a little more recently, but I actually, focused through the whole thing, and I loved it. Yeah, it was.
It's good. I like it.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And like Tex said, it's got the little Easter eggs. Like obviously the Delta 88 is always there. It's in every one of them. They're chilling on the car in the first scene. So I'm like, okay, there it is. That's awesome.
I had a Delta 88, an 88 Delta 88.
Damn.
And yeah, I like the fact that it's like, we're having a little weekend intervention in the woods with our friend who's a recovering drug addict, and I was like, that's gonna be is she losing her fucking mind or is she just relapsing? Like, what's her deal? And man, when I tell you, like, I'll wax poetical about that too. I'm like, God damn, that ending, dude. It is just saturated blood. She's just whipping that saw around, and it's a fight.
When she like rips her hand out from under that car and like all the gooey bits and stuff. It's so cool looking. I love it. I dug it.
It's everything you'd want out of an Evil Dead movie, like, made in a more modern time that you can still get the cool effects, the practical effects, the blood and gore. And it's like, it's a fun fucking ride.
Oh no, Aaron, what are some of your thoughts on the film?
So I will preface this entire thing with, before Scream existed, the original Evil Dead trilogy was my favorite horror franchise. Bruce Campbell is probably still one of my favorite all-time actors. He did such. What was it? Army of Darkness is probably like it's not in my top 5 all-time favorites, but it's probably in my my top 10. That movie was fucking great, and I watched it as often as I could when I was like, 6 to 10 for real. So
this is my boomstick.
yeah. So
if I ever find a text somewhere, like when I was in high school, I went as Halloween. I went as Ash. I made my own like chainsaw arm that I could actually get.
Oh hell yeah!
Nice.
I had like a little toy shotgun from the fucking store. I ripped up a blue shirt, and I got stopped by a cop who was like, "Dude, that's amazing. I've never seen anyone do that." And I was like, "Hail to the king!" All I can say was "Hail to the king, baby!" And he's like, "Yes!" And he drove off.
I felt that the remake, as I'll call it, was almost a shot for shot of the original, just without Ash in it. The first movie. You know what I mean? Because maybe
like 60-40.
Like,
it was similar.
It was like it was very updated, but it felt like a lot of the same movie. But they did a good job with it. Like specifically, one of the scenes we already talked about with the tree happened in the first movie as well.
Yeah.
So
the tree happened in like every Evil Dead thing. That's part of the trope. Hell,
I don't remember there being that much sexual explicit stuff happening in 2 or in Army of Darkness.
Oh, and Evil Dead 2, it's worse because they had more money to spend on that scene. It's way more hardcore in Evil Dead 2.
Noted.
It's in all of them.
It's been a while since I've seen the second one. I watched Army of Darkness a lot more than any of the others, but just the fact that they came out with the sequel, it was a good franchise. I liked the sequel pretty well, but I haven't like I mentioned, I haven't seen the other ones. So I thought Rises was like a direct sequel. I had no idea.
No, Evil Dead Rise with Beth is not a direct sequel. Now, I have read that there's plans to do a movie with Beth, Mia, and bring back Bruce Campbell as Ash, but who knows if that'll ever happen.
Yeah, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell together are perfect. Like,
what'd you say, Fred?
They really are.
They're called anthology sequels, which is one of the things becoming popular in Hollywood now. I'm not always a big fan of it. Sometimes it's done well, sometimes it's not. Like all the American Horror Story seasons are all anthology seasons. There's not like one constant storyline that goes through all the seasons or one characters. They're all in the same universe, but every season is a different story. That's an anthology.
Well, it works perfectly for Evil Dead though, because there's 3 different Necronomicons. Each movie within the franchise itself it's a completely different feel. Evil Dead 1 is a straight up horror movie. Evil Dead 2 is a Three Stooges with 15,000 gallons of blood and possession. 3 is like a medieval times, and every one of them is different. So it works within this franchise.
And just from Army of Darkness, we already know that it has the capacity for a multiversal situation anyways, because that medieval times that he went to was not a direct past for his own world.
Right.
But let's move on now. Jeremy, what's another movie that you want to talk about for legacy sequels?
Well, I added this one last minute because I came to the realization that there was about 15 years difference between the first and second. And my mind started going to, like, you think about different mediums of, like, we're talking about film. I was thinking like video games, and I was thinking like, well, you can get, and that's not, again, but the time jump of like, there's got to be enough hype to want a sequel to something. You want more of that series or more of these characters, whatever. But I'm like, with video games, I'm like, well, it's easy. You don't have to. You literally create that whole world, and you don't have to have your actor's age. You don't have to have effects change. You don't have to do any of that. And then it clicked for me. I was like, holy shit, animated movies. So I went with The Incredibles because there was a big fucking time gap there. I think it was 15 years.
I love that first one.
It was 15 years.
Yeah, and I was like, well, okay, it's an animated movie. I was like, well, you don't have to worry about, you just have the voice actors come back, and all you got to worry about now is, you make a good, well-written story that is going to still be entertaining. Because I'm like, now you're preaching to someone like me who was like, I was a kid when the first one came out, and I loved it. I still love it to this day. It's a fan-fucking-tastic movie, the first one. 2, I'm like, now I'm going to be elbowing kids out of my way that you don't understand because you were maybe like conceived when the first one, maybe when the first one came out. So I'm like, you don't understand, kid. Get the hell out of my way. I'm going to go watch this movie. like a grown ass adult. So I think it was done well. It hit the right way that I wanted it to. It had an interesting story, and I'm glad they did do. The thing that made me laugh was there was kind of a sequel. Now that I think about what I just said, there was a sequel, but in a video game form, which was not great. But it literally picks up right at the end of the movie where the Underminer comes out of the ground, and you play as Bob and Frozone the whole game.
Hold on a second. Like, I had no idea. Does it follow the same plot? Like right at that, up to the mayor's office bullshit?
You're talking about the video game and the movie?
Yeah.
No. So that's what gets me is I'm like, the video game came out fairly like closer to the time when the first movie came out, and they just picked up right off of there. And it's like, it's just you getting to go fight the Underminer. That's the whole game. And it's not really a long game. And my excitement was, oh my God, I can play as Frozone. Holy shit. And I only played as Bob when they forced me to, because I was like, fuck him. I already played him in the first game. I don't need to do that again. And I'm like, oh my God, Frozone. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's a fairly short game. It's maybe like a few hours, and you just go fight the Underminer. But no, two actually, I'm glad they did do that. That made me laugh, because then, probably about 10 years past that now is when 2 came out, and they still ended with that, like taking care of that nonsense real quick, and then getting to this whole thing with all these the new supers and shit like that, and the Screen Slaver. I thought it was a good sequel, like a good enough sequel. It's not like, I don't know. It doesn't. The first one's absolutely fantastic and will always be great. And I will say, like, I've seen 1 way more times than I've seen 2, but I wouldn't say no to watching it again. I think they both work, and like I said, it works because it's an animated movie. That medium's a little easier to get away with making a sequel so far down the line. So,
well, it also depends on the animation you use, because there's a documentary called 6 Days to Air, I think, on HBO Max about them doing an episode of South Park.
Tell me that. Yeah.
So it's like, because I like old school like cell animation, like 6 days isn't enough to get like a 30 minute spot or 28-minute spot together. But it's like with Pixar and them doing all the computer animated stuff now, as opposed to old school cell animation, the fact that it took them 150 years seemingly to get that sequel off the ground sounds ridiculous, because the animation is so much easier now. It might take you a year or so to get the movie together like it would most movies. But I mean, you don't have to, but it's not like you're doing old school cell animation where it's going to take, because Mike Judge has talked about how one of the reasons why it took so long to get Beavis and Butthead back going again was because the animation style they use is not computer stuff. It's all done really old school. So it takes a long time to put together one episode. Yeah. It takes weeks to put together one episode. If you have a bunch of stuff that you're kind of reusing, which they have ways of kind of doing it faster now, but they said even then it takes weeks to get like one 30-minute spot together. It's tough. Yeah. But I don't know. Hey, Ron, what do you think? What do you think about Jeremy's movie, Incredibles 2?
So, to be completely honest with you, I fully agree that this is an excellent legacy sequel, and for it being 15 years in the after, the story being as wonderful as it was, I'll be completely honest, I like 2 better than I like 1. 1 was a fantastic movie. Yeah, no, 1 was a fantastic movie, but the second one did such a wonderful job, and they brought in a lot more, like you said, more supers through from various places. So we got to see more diversity in the fact, like, all we got in the first movie was a list of people who died and how they died. And
it was like the old generation of supers were killed off. Yeah.
Right. And Syndrome was a wonderful villain. Don't get me wrong, but he was a fucking little bitch. Like, we got the Screenslaver was such a perfect villain. Someone who had an actual reason to be a villain, not a crybaby pick me, but someone whose parents were fucking murdered. And this whole storyline was just brilliant. I loved it. And it definitely takes the cake over the first one. So I think it's
not like it wasn't telegraphed as hell that her name was like literally like evil or some shit. I was like, wow, I wonder who the villain is. You could have maybe like, if you're gonna have this like presence of like the Screenslaver, I'm like, ooh, who is it? His name literally is like evil or some shit. I was like,
Well, the second that they even mention that she's like the tech genius behind the entire company, it's like obviously that's the bad guy. Like
that may have been for like the kids, where the kids are like, "Oh my god, what?" And I'm like, "I got it."
It's because you guys have clearly never seen a movie before.
Excuse me.
I don't know. Tex, you got any thoughts on Incredibles 2?
Oh, he went vertical. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, that's what the fuck.
Oh, there we go.
Y'all keep talking. I'll be right back. I gotta end.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and move on now. Let's see. Well, fuck, it would have been his turn anyway. I don't know. Aaron, give me one of yours since Tex had to step away for a minute.
So I just have the one.
Matrix, so I don't have to.
Yeah. No, I don't. I wasn't actually going to do the Matrix. The one that I was going to touch on was actually labeled a reboot in its name. And I can't believe the two of you haven't fucking brought this up yet. But Jay and Silent Bob, the reboot.
Look, man. It's not like we weren't going to talk about Clerks, because we talked about even like Clerks 3. Clerks 3 would be a good one, even from 2 to 3. Shit.
From 2 to 3 was only what, like 6 years?
No, that was more than that.
From 2 to 3? Oh, it was way more than that.
No,
was it really?
Oh
yeah. I was like, wait a minute.
But like so that just dives more into it. We have so many legacy sequels to the Jay and Silent Bob movies, like their whole character bit. And we're about to get yet another one, hopefully. I sent this to Frank. I don't have your info to send it to you. He told me that he will straight up not get on TikTok for anything. But I saw on TikTok the other day, Matt Damon came back as Loki. And he was sitting in a church, and he was talking about like the end of the movie and what happened beyond that. And everything. It's like, people want to know, did I go to hell? And he's like, nah, I just got turned back into a human. And no, I'm not in Wisconsin anymore. I can't remember where he said he was at and whatnot, but like they hardcore fucking teased the second movie. Like it was probably a good 4.5-5 minute little bit that he did as Loki. And it was good. I'm so ready for them to hopefully do that. Beyond even that, though, put it on fucking streaming. I don't care if I have to buy the goddamn movie. You don't have to put it on Netflix, but let me buy the goddamn thing on Vudu already. I want to see this. It's been probably 15 fucking years since I've seen it. Frank won't let me borrow the DVD because they don't fucking print them anymore. I love Dogma so fucking much.
You are not touching my Dogma CD.
I know. He considered it. He considered it for like 2 days. And then when he was talking to you, Jeremy, and he was like, I got to look into this. And he got on eBay to find out if he could even find, and he could only find a Korean copy. He was like, you know what, Aaron? No, I'm not letting you borrow this anymore. And I'm like,
Frank will let you come to his house and view it like it's one of the 9/11 documents. You can go there and read them, but you can't take pictures. You can't touch them, but you can look at them. It'll be one of those kind of things.
AJ just brought up a good point in the comments, but he is actually incorrect. So yes, they could not do a reboot of it for a while because Weinstein did own the rights. But what was it, like 4 months ago, Frank?
Well, it was very recently. Didn't they say that they might actually be able to get it now and actually?
It's not that it's not a might thing. He's been in talks with it, and the deal is signed. He has the rights now to his own movie. It's just we're going to wait.
I think in the last few months, it's come out that they have cleared up whatever that stuff was, and that he's actually working on a script for a Dogma sequel, and that I think the way he put it was that he expects Ben Affleck and Matt Damon to come back. Maybe not that it was. Now that doesn't mean this movie is actually getting made. Let's point that out right now. That means he's writing a script. If I had a nickel for every script that had been written that was never made, I would be a bajillionaire. So
you even have a couple on your computer that you've written yourself.
Yeah, a couple. Actually, more than a couple. I've written started a lot of different things. But yeah, I mean, it may or may not happen. But I don't know.
By the way, Aaron, Clerks 2 came out in 2006. Clerks 3 was 2022, man. So
Clerks 3 was 20. So I might not have seen Clerks 3 yet. Then when did they do the Donkey Show? Was that in 2?
That was 2.
That was in 2. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen 3 yet. Then.
Yeah, that was 2006, my guy, and then 2022 was 3. Yes,
I figure he remembers the donkey show. That's the one thing that stands out.
No, of course he does.
I could have said a number of things, but that's like probably the most iconic scene from that movie.
Brad the Burrow, brings them in.
The cops show up, donkey walks out. Everybody's like, "What the fuck is happening right now?" But no, for real though, like, did Jay and like they have so many legacy movies from this franchise, not even just the franchise, 2 characters. Yeah, it's a whole fucking universe based on 2 fucking characters who have bit roles even in their own fucking movie. Like, even in the reboot, it was centered more around their kids.
That's
than
the
them.
meta joke. They're making fun of the entire thing we're talking about right now. That's what makes it so fucking funny.
Jeremy, did you ever get around to seeing the third one?
Movie.
No, I still have it on physical in there, and in the move, I'm like, fuck, I need to open that up and actually watch it.
Because I just noticed today actually that it's on Peacock now, so it's on a streaming service somewhere.
Clerks 3?
So, yes, Clerks 3.
I don't have to go dig it out now. I'm like, it's somewhere in my box of movies.
So maybe we've got a Clerks review back to back to back, 1, 2, and 3 coming up. Because I've got 1 and 2 on DVD. Not to mention, I think those are on a couple streaming services anyway.
I guess I gotta get a quick stop fucking button down or something.
Yep. I'm gonna go buy me a movie shirt.
But, I have a movie shirt, but I was also like, not this big, so it definitely doesn't fit me anymore.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. Tex. I don't know how many of the View Universe movies you've ever watched. Even, I mean, I don't consider
Frank or friends actually.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that Jeremy and I bonded over.
I think that was the thing we talked about like all fucking day once.
I've seen all of the Jay and Silent Bobs. I've seen the first 2 Clerks. I saw not Dogma. What's what's the one that's the chick's name? That's got where she's Chasing Amy. I love Mallrats. Mallrats is probably my favorite. Besides,
she likes having sex in uncomfortable places. You mean
back of a Volkswagen? Yeah, I would say Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back are my favorite. But to point out to what Aaron was just saying a minute ago, my favorite cameo from Jay and Silent Bob is in Scream 3 when they're on the film lot and they're just kind of walking around in the background back there. I always pop every time I see that. So yeah, I do.
Breakfast is come and go, Renee, but Hartford, the Whale, they play at Vancouver.
And moviepoopshoot.com, I would totally wear one of those T-shirts. By the way, like that would be tremendous. So
also, I mean, come on, actual Stan Lee in Mallrats.
Yes.
Well,
actually, yeah.
What does the thing's dick look like? Is it all rock? And I mean, does it match the rest of him? I mean, what are you going to do,
Jeremy, how do you think we would even approach
And that kid is on the escalator again.
Jeremy, how these pretzels smell? Oh, my God.
You want a chocolate covered pretzel?
But, Jeremy, how would we even approach that? If we were to try to do the whole of US universe, I mean, for one, it would take the better part of a year.
Yeah.
For two, we do like the Jay and do them as kind of a different segments. We do Clerks. Then we do Silent Bob movies, and then we'll do Dogma is like an offshoot, whereas Chasing Amy is its own thing.
Is there a definable timeline? Is there a definable timeline?
Is Tusk in there somewhere? I mean, I think there's a definable timeline, but the universe itself is so scattered. It's like Chasing Amy is a part of the universe, but it's not the same movie as Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It's his universe, but he's trying to do like more of a goofy love story and not just these 2 guys standing up in front of the quick stop of the movies acting like
smoking weed and shit.
So yeah, it's definitely a different kind of series.
I mean, it's not like, do you really want to count Fanboys? Because Kevin Smith and Jamie Hughes were definitely in that movie too. Well, not as Jay and Silent Bob, but
if you're going that route, Zach and Mary Make a Porno have to be in the timeline too, because Justin Long's the gay porno guy. He's in one of the Jay and Silent Bob.
Jamie Hughes, wasn't he like the camera guy or sound guy or something?
Something like that, yeah.
They weren't playing the same character. He wasn't playing the same character though.
No,
so it's not part of
but Justin Long was. It was in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah, I know.
He plays the same character from Zack and Mary in that movie. So that one technically is in there too.
I don't know how. Maybe I don't know. I don't consider it part of it.
I don't know.
But it's still fun. But I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Tex, what was the next movie you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. Well, I actually told you the wrong one. It's not 31. I was thinking of a different movie, but I don't need a picture anyway. The Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses, The Firefly Family. One of the greatest modern day horror groups. Let's be honest here. It's Rob Zombie's version of the Texas Chainsaw Sawyers or Hewitts, whatever you want to call them. The Devil's Rejects comes out, blows everybody away. One of the best endings in horror ever. The family shot to death with Freebird playing. I can hear Freebird in my head right now. My favorite ending in any movie ever made. People are like, okay, well, they're dead. What's going to happen now? Nothing happens. We get this long debate back and forth. Does Rob Zombie own the characters? Does Lionsgate own them? There was this big whole thing back and forth. So we don't get a sequel to the Devil's Rejects for years until Rob Zombie finally gets, he knows that he has the rights to do it. So he makes 3 from Hell. Well, 3 from Hell, it came about 10, 11 years too late because God rest his soul, Sid Haig, he had cancer. He was not doing well. So we don't get much of it. So what do? We pick up with somehow the Firefly family survives that huge shootout in the end of Devil's Rejects. They magically get better. I guess it was barely an inconvenience, as Drinker would say. And,
it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Yeah. Go away now. All the lives. Yeah. And, we get 3 from Hell. We pick up all of them are in prison. They're on death row, whatever. And we get minimal Sid Haig. Unfortunate, but he's being sent to the lethal injection. So now we've got 2 from Hell. So guess who appears? Richard Brake. And if you don't know who Richard Brake is, he was the ambulance driver from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 that says fuck about 155 times in one scene at the beginning of that movie as Michael cuts his head off. He was Doomhead from 31. He is the newest Firefly family member. And this movie was not a huge success. It was actually crowdfunded. I was actually one of the people that crowdfunded this movie back in 2016. And I got a poster and a DVD. There's a couple things I got. I don't remember. It's all put up in storage somewhere. But if you haven't seen 3 from Hell, go find it. Basically, you have Otis Baby and Richard Brake's character. I can't remember what his Firefly family name was. They go to Mexico, and it's a shoot 'em up, blood and gore. There's this scene where they're torturing this poor birthday clown that Otis makes this birthday clown piss his pants, and it is fucking hilarious to watch. If you have not seen 3 from Hell, go find it. It is an amazing movie to see. It's a low budget horror slasher. It didn't make a bunch of money. I'm not even sure if it was profitable, to be honest with you, but it is another legacy sequel that I would say you need to see, especially in the horror realm. Sherry Moon Zombie is tremendous in it. She looks great.
I don't know. Jeremy, do you agree with his take on the movie?
It's another one of those movies where I'm like, I bought it on physical with the intent of watching it, and I still haven't. And I was like, I don't know if I can. I mean, if that's, I'll take your word for it then. If it's because I was like, yeah, the ending of 2, I'm like, how do you top that? That's a perfect ending. I'm fine with that being how the whole thing wrapped up. I was like, God, I will never listen to Freebird the same way. If I hear Freebird, I just see them pulling guns out of the side of the car and then just gunning it as soon as the guitar solo comes in. I'm like, yeah, that sticks with you.
I'll put it to you this way.
Then retcon it, I'm like, I don't know if I want
for
that.
Comedic purposes. Once they get to Mexico, Sherry Moon Zombie Baby has this hilarious friendship with the Mexican midget in the village that they're at. That is hilarious to watch. It is amazing.
I don't even doubt that.
It's great.
God damn it! All right. I mean, like I said, I bought it
because I'm like, I want to watch this because I'm like, I want to say that I saw all 3, but
yeah.
I'm like, I can't. To me, I'm like, that's just a satisfying 1 and 2, man. That's damn.
Oh yeah, no, Now, to be fair though, if you Three from Hell is not good enough to undo the ending of Devil's Rejects. I don't think any movie would ever be good enough to undo that ending. But the fact that it's out there, if you can kind of treat it as almost think of it like an Elseworlds tale or something, it's kind of how I handle it in my head, just because I love the Devil's Rejects ending so well. There you go. There you go. It's a requel, Jeremy. It's a whole new thing, but we're still tying to it. You know, whatever.
A pre-requel, or whatever we said the last time we did Alien
Romulus. It's a pre-requel sequel, you know, in a different universe. That's what it is. Yeah.
I don't know. Aaron, give me some of your quick thoughts before we move on.
I've seen the Devil's Rejects. That's what I can say.
Good for you.
And you loved it, right? It was like one of your best. It's like one of your favorite movies ever made.
I don't know that I would say it's one of my favorites, but I do like the stuff. I do like the stuff that Rob Zombie does. He's pretty good.
Love Rob Zombie.
He's pretty good with stories and stuff like that. But I didn't know that it was part of a larger universe. To be completely honest with you, before you guys started talking about it, I thought it was in the same universe as like The Hills Have Eyes, Devil's Rejects.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, I had no idea. Speaking of which, I'm surprised it's not one of the ones that you brought up yet is Hills Have Eyes, as a matter of fact.
I thought about it, but I had 5 others that I really liked more than the Hills Have Eyes, even though, technically Hills Have Eyes is a remake, not a sequel. That's number one.
Which is why I think that's why we didn't bring it up. So, yeah.
Technically a remake.
I like almost everything that I've seen that Rob Zombie's done. He did a decent job with the Halloween movies when he did them, even if it was
my favorite movie ever, Rob Zombie's Halloween.
So, I mean, I liked Devil's Rejects. I just didn't know it was part of a larger thing. I didn't know they had any sequels to it. I didn't know there was a prequel.
Start with House of a Thousand Corpses, go Devil's Rejects, and then
you know what? I might have known that House of a Thousand Corpses was a prequel. I don't know that I've seen it though. Good stuff.
If you want my thoughts on it, we actually reviewed both those first 2 movies in the Firefly family trilogy. So go back through our playlist. You'll be able to find those on there. Jeremy, give me one more, and then we'll start to wrap this thing up a little bit. One more you want to talk about?
So looking for that picture. So like I said, somewhere there's a picture of me dressed up like as Ash when I was in high school. Where the fuck was that list?
That's real to me.
Oh yeah, because I'm gonna toss up here because I threw out a bunch of ones like Anchorman, Zombieland. There's those both have, but the one I think that I initially wanted to stick with was one that was my favorite movie for a long goddamn time, and one of my favorite series was The Matrix. Until I got knocked off his pedestal by Ready Player One, which is, that's fair. But I don't remember, when did Resurrection come out? Was that like 2022? Maybe? Because 3 was
I believe you're correct.
22, yeah.
God damn, Papa still got it. And then, 3 was shot back to back with 2, which I believe was 2003. So pretty considerable amount of time.
2002, I think.
Was it 2, or did they like release it a year later or something?
You might be right. You might be right about that. They might have released them a year apart.
Yeah, because I feel like they did something like that. That they shot them back to back, but released them a year apart. So
they were both 2003. You were right.
Oh, they're both. Okay, I thought it was a year apart. Okay. Damn. All right. So big time jump. And I feel like that was one that was probably something that people talked about, but didn't go anywhere. You're like thinking, is there another Matrix? And I'm kind of just like, why would you, it had the same thing, the same problem to me with Indiana Jones. I'm like, you literally had the perfect fucking ending. They all ride off into the sunset together on silhouettes on horses in Last Crusade. Kind of the same thing with this. They had this real cool beautiful looking sunset that the little girl programmed into the Matrix after I'm assuming it kind of got reset again when Neo sacrificed himself. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now, I know you can play with the meta joke of this being, it's not a real world. This is another version of the Matrix. I'm like, right, because in the one we all saw, that was like what? I think he said the 6th version of it or something. I'm like, yeah, you've got the, I love the creativity of that world and the, what the Wachowskis laid out for it. And the fact that Lana Wachowski at least came back to do this one, I had more faith in it. I thought, okay, well, you've got, at least half of the mind power behind the originals. So, and I just think it really kind of just didn't do it. It's still that whole we talked about. I was a Jay and Silent Bob. Jesus Christ. Bill and Ted. I was like, yeah, it's John Wick with force powers. I think. I didn't know what the. I
can't not see. I can't see Keanu and not think John Wick anymore. He's done so many tremendous things. All I see is John Wick now. Like he will forever be known.
It's kind of unfortunate. I'm like, he's amazing, and it just sucks that, like, that's just what we all tie him to now.
He will forever be typecasted as, oh, hey, it's John Wick. Like they may not even know his real name. They'll know John Wick.
He wasn't already doing this. Like, I mean, he's Neo. That was long before John Wick. I'm like, yeah, him shooting guns, lots of guns, and kicking a lot of ass and some cool kung fu and some slow motion bullet time. I'm like, yeah, cool, but now it just seems like you're John Wick with force powers, and he didn't really do a whole lot of what I thought of. Some of it, I mean, am I wrong? He just sat on the bike and just kind of just kept pushing it. Like, I know he's basically God now because I'm like, I know he's basically God now in this world, and I think the joke was that it was he made a video game about like the dreams he had about what happened in the first 3 movies. I was trying my hardest to follow.
After about 30 minutes of that 4th Matrix movie, I gave up and I didn't give a shit. I was like, okay, I'm good.
I really fucking tried. I really did. And I was like, I really wanted it to be good, and I didn't think it worked. And I know with every movie you're always like, oh, there could be another. I'm like, yeah, you can always have another, and I don't really know if I really want that. So
just because you can.
When I was looking this up, I think I messed up. I messed up and typed in Matrix 5, and I saw like, oh, Matrix. They had a title for it, like might be in development. I'm like, oh god, no, I meant 4. No, damn it. So I don't know. Please don't.
I don't know. Aaron, give me your quick thoughts on the Matrix.
I loved the original trilogy. Resurrections I waited forever for them to finally do a trilogy, because I will maintain ever since Revolutions ended and that final scene where they show them pulling Neo away and he's still glowing gold as they're pulling him away. I knew from that moment.
He's computer Jesus now at that point.
Yeah, he wasn't dead. He wasn't fucking dead. He was dead, but he wasn't dead. And that he was going to come back as, like you said.
I think that was the joke that, like, he is always the one in different reincarnations of the Matrix. I think that might have been.
And that's honestly what I expected them to do. I thought there was going to be a reboot of the Matrix, and we were going to see the 8th iteration finally, not this weird conglomeration that we got. And the fact that we didn't get Morpheus to come back for real, like what? Why?
Morpheus knew how bad it was going to be.
It's just
Lawrence Fishburne knew fucking better.
Fucking Lawrence Fishburne makes more sense as a character to have come back than fucking Will Smith's fucking wife.
Yeah,
like,
Jada,
what the actual fuck?
He's there as a statue, if that counts for anything.
I know.
It doesn't count for
shit. They had to have gotten his likeness, so I know they had to have talked to him, but he was like, fuck no, I ain't touching that movie. And that was a smart
It would have been, I wish that they could have done so much better with it. We needed the sequel to finally, like, get some kind of answers, but they didn't do a super fantastic. That's why I've only seen it like 3 times.
Once.
That's twice more than I've seen it.
I had to watch it.
I didn't make it through
I had to watch it. I had to watch it a couple times just to see if there were cameo bits or any kind of shit like that I missed the first time around. There really wasn't. There was
like some knockoff version of Morpheus, whoever that guy was fucking supposed to be. I was like, what?
And it wasn't. There weren't fun little tidbits. Like there should, like, Jesus Christ, of all the movies they could have done, especially with the way they did his video game shit, there were so many things they could have done and they just didn't. And it's like,
didn't they like literally show the movie like, on a projector screen in a theater in the movie? And I was like, wait, so that didn't?
Yeah.
Huh?
The whole the meeting with fucking Morpheus, the new Morpheus, was exactly what you were talking about. They were in a movie theater watching the real life fucking events of Neo's life. Like, where did they get that footage from? Is what's got me.
Because it's meta, bro. Don't you know it's meta?
No, it was so dumb, dude. They were showing Trinity. They were showing shit that happened in the real world on a fucking silver screen in the Matrix. Like, it didn't make any fucking sense. And to touch on another point that you made earlier, it's been bothering me for a minute. The Neo that we see in the original trilogy is the 7th. So there were 6 previous Matrix before this. So we would be going into the 8th one.
Yeah, you're right. I was like, I couldn't remember if it was 6 or 7 because he said there were 6. So this is the 7th. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one we got now was the 8th one. Yeah.
Yeah. Not too many movies have disappointed me the way that the Matrix Resurrections or whatever the hell this
really
one
wanted
was.
it to be good.
I wanted it to be great, and I thought, you know what? Maybe the reason it took so long to get another one made is because they wanted to have a really killer idea that they could take the time to put together. And it had been a million years since the last one came out. I was like, maybe they hit it, maybe they cracked it. And the opening scene I thought was really good. I was like, okay, I'm with it on this one. I'm with you so far. And then from then on out, it was just crash and burn. Just nothing worked out right for me at all. Now all of a sudden Trinity's the chosen one. It's like, how about we just fucking throw darts into whatever character we hit's the chosen one for the rest of the movie?
She wasn't the chosen
one. Gotta get those woke points in.
She wasn't the chosen one. They were the chosen one.
But I mean, besides the DEI stuff, it was just such a stupid plot point anyway. I really don't care about the DEI stuff. Look, if it had been just some random female character, I would say that would annoy me more. But I mean, if you were going to do that, Trinity's the only character you really could do it with. But it just wasn't a smart narrative decision anyway. To hell with the DEI, it was just dumb. There was no way to do that and not kind of make most of the people look at it and go, meh. Well, there's nothing special about doing that in this movie.
I didn't quite. And the thing was, I'm like, so we don't have. I know we had to work around not having Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus, and also they kind of showed us that there is a considerable time jump with Jada Pinkett Smith. Now she's like 187 fucking years old somehow and still alive. And for I mean,
get Will Smith's wife's name out of your fucking mouth. Right?
Well, the thing was, I'm like, well, I'm assuming she stayed in that world. She was also not like a normal human. She was also one of the pod-born people. So I'm like, well, is that why Neo isn't? Because they were, I guess, in the pod and they were preserved because they didn't age really like she did. I don't know. And then we have another version of Morpheus, but you still had the thing that bugged me is like you had a quick, I guess, kind of cameo from the guy who played the Merovingian. I'm like, now he's like some crackpot fucking like homeless guy. I was like, what?
I actually loved that. That was fucking hilarious.
I think it happened so fast. I was kind of just like confused. I'm like, huh? Why? What? I guess whatever. Multiverse. Now he's some fucking weird dude. He's not like some rich like French dickhead who's got Monica Bellucci for a wife, which I still don't. Lucky motherfucker.
Lucky bastard.
Lucky motherfucker. I don't know. It seemed like it was trying to do. I mean, not too much, but just it didn't really land with me. I don't know. I thought maybe the meta stuff would be kind of funny, like the way you can basically it's a computer program. You can always reboot stuff, do shit. Like I said, I didn't even care about the Agent Smith thing. I was like, that's cool. Yes, copy and paste. That's literally a fucking computer thing you can do. And now he's copy and pasting his ass all over the place. And now we're fighting like 30 Smiths in some back alley. I don't care how fucking bad it was. It was fucking awesome. Leave it alone.
Well, so have you ever played the video game that they made?
I own and have played both video games.
So the one that ends with the conglomeration of Agent Smiths as a giant monster. That's how the Wachowskis wanted the movie to end, but they wouldn't let him.
Because the game like abruptly stops. You play through the movie, you're fighting Smith and like with all the Agent Smiths in the rainy city, and then it just cuts and then like a white screen comes out and two little like pixelated blocks, like block people come out, and it's the Wachowskis, and they're like, yeah, so we didn't know how to like make this end, so we're gonna just go with this, and this is what we're gonna have you fight this big like Yeah, like he described, it's a big conglomeration of all the Agent Smiths and like a bunch of rebar and concrete and buildings and crap. And I'm like, now that's a boss fight. And I was like, that's funny as shit. And I love that they just decided to make the game go that way. That was funny.
It was brilliant, and I would have loved to see that in the movie instead of what we got. Like, it was a great ending. Don't get me wrong. But...
yeah,
but I got to start to wrap this thing up now. We've gone a little bit over what I wanted to. I can't imagine what it would have been like had Core actually been able to make it tonight. I guarantee we wouldn't be 20% of the way through what I wanted to do at this point. But there's probably there's probably a lot more discussion to be had about legacy sequels in the future because they're not going anywhere, whether people like it or not. They're going to be a part of the movie landscape for a while now. We'll talk about some of the ones that will be coming up, maybe in another stream. But yeah, they're not going anywhere. They're look, requels, prequels, sequels, legacy sequels. Like they're all here. They're going to be around for a while. Enjoy them. Hopefully, they're going to make them good. That's all I can say. It comes down. Look, movies come down to writing and story and making sure you hit the important story beats and character beats that just make a movie watchable, that just make it enjoyable for the fans. If you can do those things, you're probably going to be in okay shape. But just doing stuff to just to make a movie, just to try to, I mean, Jesus Christ, we're on like Fast and Furious 38 now. I mean, they've made almost as many Fast and Furious movies as they've made James Bond movies.
Well, they haven't stopped making them. That's the problem.
Diesel's going to be fucking 97 years old, and he's still going to be like,
until he's 90.
Until he's 90. But
he rolls his wheelchair one hallway at a time.
He's got NOS on the back of it. He presses a button.
I said a 10-second chair, not a 10-minute chair.
Yeah.
Where do you put nitrous on a wheelchair?
When Vin Diesel does shuffle loose the mortal coil and goes on to the next life, the first thing he's going to see is Paul Walker. He's going to be like, dude, why did you do those last four?
Like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
Oh, it's like that whole scene about me and you driving in different directions. Perfect ending. Perfect ending.
Right.
27 more movies. Jesus Christ, Vin. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, I mean, so I don't know. Get on the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about legacy sequels. Like I said, it's probably a whole other video to talk about the ones that are in discussion that are at least out there and they're in talks. They have not been greenlit, but there's ideas, there's treatments, there's words about all kinds of shit. I mean, I've heard Gremlins 3. I've heard another Shanghai Nights movie with Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson. Somebody's throwing that around Hollywood right now. There's what is it? The Lethal Weapon 5 has been out there for a few years. I don't know if they've cracked that one yet or not.
Aren't they talking about another Rush Hour as well?
There's another Rush Hour they're talking about with Jackie Chan and
I think
what's his name? Chris Tucker. They're talking about that one. I've read a little bit about it. I looked at a list earlier and I was like, please don't make that legacy.
He ain't gonna be in Rush Hour 3.
But
no, fuck all that. We need a Blazing Saddles 2 that's as raunchy as a commercial. That's the sequel that we need.
Is Wilder
that's what we need.
Is Wilder still alive?
Gene Wilder? No, he died years ago.
He died a long time ago.
He died a long time ago.
Yeah, we need a Blazing Saddles 2 like that. That's a tremendous film. Like we need something.
Yeah, I want to say that most of the cast of that movie has probably died by now.
Probably.
How is Mel Brooks like 98?
How has Mel Brooks outlived everybody?
That's what I'm saying.
What the fuck?
The power of the shorts.
He just did. That's one we should have fucking touched on. He just did History of the World.
History of the World Part 2. I mentioned that. Yeah.
Either that or we need a Pizza the Hut spin-off movie from Spaceballs. I'm also down for that.
Yeah, Gene Wilder died in August of 2016.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been dead for a while. Unfortunately, great actor.
He's making candy bars on the other side now. So.
Mm-hmm. When did the guy that fucking Eddie Murphy ripped off fucking die? Tell old Bill he can have a smoke and a coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
Richard Pryor?
Yeah, when did Pryor die?
Oh, Pryor? Fuck.
Oh, yeah, he died quite some time
2003?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Is it early 2000?
Damn it, Mel Brooks, you waited too fucking long.
Yeah, Richard Pryor passed away in 2005. Yeah, he died a long time ago.
Yeah. So Pryor's been
and ironically, Richard Pryor and fucking Gene Wilder. They were just terrorists together on the screen. Some of the movies
they were so fucking good. That's why.
I love Gene Wilder in his Frankenstein film. That is an amazing movie.
My God, Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up there. Thanks to all of you. Very much appreciate it. Thanks to my co-host for being so knowledgeable and so long-winded about some of these movies, despite the fact that I wanted them to boil down things in like 45-second clips. You guys just can't figure it out. But one of these days, I'll make broadcasters out of these guys yet. One of these days. But thanks to my amazing co-host, starting with my header life mate Jeremy. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm here Tuesday and Thursday doing whatever we do. So, and I walked away to go get a drink or something. And Texas, we were talking about gaming stuff, and I don't know. Maybe one day I'll actually make stuff, and I'll still say that I'm a terrible content creator. So, maybe I'll play video games.
Creator, just be a more consistent content creator, and you'll be okay.
There you go.
I gotta like do stuff. That's the
look at Casey. Casey puts out shit content. You know, he still gets that. You can be better than Casey. You'll be fine.
I can do better than Casey. Motherfucker, I could do a whole Fortnite stream with him. And I just take all of his goddamn stuff. And they come for Casey and they stay for me. That's the whole thing. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've played yet, Jeremy, but the Fortnite OG actually started today, I believe.
Oh, fuck, that's right.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to play a little bit tomorrow. I don't know if you're not busy tomorrow. Maybe we'll stream a little bit of Fortnite for a while.
The only thing I've got going is I'm finally getting goddamn Rachel to watch Serenity. It's all the Firefly.
Serenity now. Serenity now.
They needed to not cancel that. Fuck Fox forever.
I know. I'm
Fuck
like,
Fox
guys,
forever.
Like, you gotta round it out. Just watch Serenity. It's like a bonus episode.
The movie is not. I'm not a fan.
Don't spoil anything. I'm
not going to spoil anything. I'm just not a fan. It didn't feel like a continuation.
I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of just a bonus episode. It kind of delved at least more into the system. Like, I don't know. I don't think.
So all you know that I was in the Marines. My rifle was named Vera. I'm dead ass serious.
Fucking what? No, that's amazing.
Dead ass fucking serious.
That's amazing.
And then of course the Shape of the Lone Star State, my man Tex. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Here next week, talking about whatever dumb shit we're going to talk about. This weekend, get to the theaters. Go see Werewolves. I talked about it Tuesday, but I'm going to talk about it again today because I saw another preview of it. It's been described as an 80s action film, both on violence and kind of feel of the movie. It's a purge movie with werewolves with practical effects. I can't wait to see this. Frank Grillo starring, Lou Diamond Phillips. Got some good names. It's from what I can tell, it's widespread. It got since Tuesday. It's opening in a lot more theaters, and I'll be seeing it this weekend. So if you can go make it out there, go see it. And avoid that Y2K movie with that witch or Rachel Zegler, that weird Snow White bitch. Don't go see that movie because fuck her. So.
As soon as I saw the trailer and I saw her, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I wish I would have liked that because I feel like it'd be funny.
It's got her. It's got her, and it's got the fat kid from Deadpool 2, which I couldn't stand. So I'm staying away from that one. So go watch Werewolf.
So. Part of me is just curious.
I'm good.
It's like,
dude, there's a horror film that I'm in theaters that I'm not going to go see. That should tell you something. I stand with Jeremy on this, Rachel Zegler thing. I'm walking the picket line. So. No.
Well, look, bad press doesn't always mean bad movie. I mean, I'm not in a hurry to go see Wicked.
It's gonna tank your fucking movie.
Yeah, Jennifer's already gone and seen Wicked twice, but I'm like, the bad press notwithstanding, it's getting killer reviews.
Yeah, but she's just she's such a terrible person, though.
We're talking about
I hate her. Like,
I know.
Even her apologies are just so uppity. I just want to slap her. I'm like, no, thank you.
Her apologies were all written by publicists and Disney. They weren't
right. That's my point. Yeah,
are you talking about the lead actress or Ariana Grande?
Rachel Zegler. She said some stupid shit about
the girl playing Snow White.
She said some dumb shit about Israel, and then there was
then she went after the Trump supporters after the election. She can't help herself. I can't stand this woman. So she's horrible. She's garbage.
Yeah, it's she said some things that kind of upset some people. And on top of that, it was like the movie got pushed back over a year because somebody let out some photos of the 7 dwarves. They weren't 7 dwarves, they were 7 racially diverse people or something.
Right.
And so that
the
internet got melted. So they were like, maybe we should not do this. So they pushed the movie back an entire year so they could CGI in the dwarfs.
They're gonna have Goldilocks and the 3 bears, and it's gonna be 3 gay guys.
At this point, I'm just kind of like, I just kind of want to see.
That's a funny fucking joke.
That is good.
That was good.
That was a good one.
Yeah, there's 3 bears, all right.
Yeah, but I don't know. Part of me is just like, I just want to see it to see if my brain melts. I'm just curious at this point. I'll expose myself to it just because I want to see just because I want the experience.
You can go watch it. Let us know.
Maybe it's gonna be an awesome movie. Maybe I'll go see it and be like, holy shit, this is actually really good.
Number one, I wasn't going to see Snow White either way, but especially once she let her uppity Hollywood crap out and just literally shit on half of this country, no, she can go to hell. I don't care. I'm good.
Yeah, there's so much bad press surrounding this movie at this point that part of me is just like, I just want to see if it's as bad as everybody says or if it defies expectations. I don't know. Like I said, at this point, it's just curiosity. I don't really know if it's going to be good or bad. I don't really care. I'm just curious as to what the train wreck looks like. It's like one of those things where it's like, it's a train wreck. Your only question is how many people died. Can I see it? It's like, but we'll I don't know. Maybe I'll get around to it. I don't know. And then, of course, he is the sexy stud. It's Aaron. Where can the folks at home find you, my man?
So I'm not really anywhere right now yet. I still haven't put together my channel. I'm still in the throes of renovating. As you see, I finally started to decorate and shit. Pulled my dresser out and put shit up, but it's going to take me a while. Probably
I'm pretty good at decorating. If you can't tell, I'd be happy to help you out. You know what
I'm pretty good at decorating out here, so I'm pretty decent at decorating and everything myself, as well as just reorganizing all my shit. I also just reorganized my entire fucking store, which was insane. But here after Christmas, I'm gonna probably launch my channel. I don't know if I'm actually going to jump onto the crazy shit that I'm gonna do a couple of the videos and whatnot, but as I understand it, it's going to take a while before I can do live stuff like we're doing here.
If you're going to do a channel on that kind of stuff, I would recommend Rumble, not YouTube. You're going to get shot down immediately.
So I'm gonna run the same kind of setup that Frank does, I think. But to answer a question Cora had earlier, because I can't jump in the chat, I don't really have a YouTube channel anymore. I haven't taken us to any new locations tonight, Cora. I'm finally actually on my computer.
He did come out of the closet. To be fair.
I went into my fucking closet to look for a book.
We have it on camera that it happened, so you can't say it didn't. That's all I'm saying.
But you'll see me on here a lot more frequently. I can't say that I'm gonna be every Thursday. I seem to be late to the party every fucking time, but I'm gonna be on the show for a while, so get used to long-winded conversations, Frank. We're gonna be on midnight every fucking time now.
Aaron is the Ray Skywalker of the Harsh Truth, as I have so nicknamed him. So he has earned it.
Why?
I don't know. It was funny at the time. It's really not that funny now that I think.
I don't.
It had to be there, so it's all good.
I don't get the joke, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you know this, Tex, or not. Me and Frank actually launched this together. I know. 5 episodes or some shit.
Hey, I'm just fucking with you. It's okay.
Are they still on YouTube?
Who?
Frank.
What's that?
Are our original reviews still on YouTube?
Yeah, they're still up there.
No shit. I'll have to go back and look at how absolutely if you could go back and watch that, I was fat. B, bald. Like
he was bald in one video, had a mohawk in another video, a reverse mohawk the video after that.
It's all bad.
He's not been able to figure his
hair out. I did not have a reverse mohawk, but no, for real. Like my appearance has changed drastically over the years. It's wild.
It is pretty wild. But as for me, you can find me back here. What is today? Thursday. You're going to find us back here on Tuesday. I've already got a good idea for Tuesday's video. We probably won't do a review since there's really not much coming out this time of year, but that I'm eager to review anyway. But I've already got an idea for next Tuesday. Next Tuesday is going to be something along the lines of this, but it's going to be more just say it's not something that's guaranteed to be made, but just we're gonna throw out there some of our ideas. I'm gonna really put these guys' creativity to the test on Tuesday.
Ooh, okay.
Come back and check that one out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks to Aaron for coming to hang out tonight. I appreciate it. Cora was supposed to be here. She got pulled away, but she's obviously going to be here whenever she's available. We love to get her thoughts as well. Jeremy, Tex, thank you guys for being so awesome. I want to thank all of you for coming to hang out with us. Very much appreciate it. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Till then, adios. All right, back to the closet with you, Aaron.
Damn.
Fuck you. I forgot you made that knowledge for the AA, Ron.
I was waiting for you to say something where I could pull it out there.
Yeah, because I didn't give you any useless bullshit.
Oh, hey, we're all inclusive and shit now, so can't fuck with us. So,
I am
Be
not
canceled.
gay.